Hello, we are back. Hopefully, my audio is okay. I rushed around as much as I could. Everybody and their dog, and I don't mean Kaylee's dog, are live right now, but we're still going to do this because I'm absolutely speechless by this probable cause. Extremely speechless. And remember, this is only part of it. They have way more. They have way more. Let us not forget how many times I was chastised on my own platform, my own channel, for saying there's no way anybody could sleep through that. Can we all? Can we say something? Can we say something to Brooks about that? Obviously, none of you said anything. Not only was a horrific crime slept through, but nobody called 911. Nobody called 911. I can't tell you how many times me and Jeannie, it'd be 3 in the morning my time, 4 in the morning my time, 5 in the morning my time. We both said, something's not sitting right. There's no way you could sleep through that. How many people came in saying, oh, it's really easy because you just go straight for their throat and it cuts their vocal cords? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I was going to wait and do this tomorrow morning because, like I said, people who've never even talked about this case before on their channels jumped on to go live. And I get it. Trust me, I do. There's a lot to process, but I wasn't about to wait. Don't think this is the last time you're going to hear about this probable cause. We'll be talking about this probable cause in a year. She even heard the dog barking. Now I go back to what they said in the beginning when they were talking about the roommates, and they said they could be victims, they could be witnesses, they could be the key to this whole thing. Well. Britt said, so which roommate posted the selfie with Kaylee early that morning? I'm going to show you right now. I'm glad you asked. Because I'm going to put it up right now. Dylan posted this at 3:30 a.m. to the VCSO app. Now, there's been a lot of back and forth about the timing of this. People say 3:30 a.m. is what time is Eastern time or whatever. From what I'm understanding about this app, it captures the time zone you're in. So when this was posted at 3:30 a.m., and I believe that this will be looked at, I believe this has already been documented, and as the case unfolds in court, I think they're going to talk about this. I really do. Because I have the app, I know Jeannie got the app, and it captured our time zone, the one we're in, not somebody else's, because everyone kept saying this is Eastern time, but it couldn't possibly be. So, going forward, what we say around here is what we say. What do you think? I think we've learned a really good lesson. So when these other fools come around and say, oh, are you kidding me? Of course she can sleep through it, talking about survivor's guilt and everything, which I can understand. I couldn't imagine. I understand that she froze up and she was too scared. Now I understand why they don't release the 911 call. Leo says your phone devices will capture the time zone you're in. Yeah, they will. But throughout the course of this case, since we started covering it, which was a couple of days after these horrific murders, after these horrific murders. I just lost my train of thought. I was reading something else. Damn it, what was I going to say? It'll come to me. Let's look at Law and Crime. They've got him in the courtroom. Let's look at that. I had to go back a little bit. And then we're going to go through the probable cause. Melanie, I'm glad you're here, Melanie.
All right.
Please be seated. We are on the record in the 2nd Judicial District, Latah County. This is the Magistrate's Division of District Court. This is State of Idaho versus Brian C. Kohlberger, cause number CR 29222805. Mr. Kohlberger is present in court. He is in custody. He is appearing with his attorney, Ms. Taylor, Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jennings, on behalf of the state. This is the time set in the matter for initial appearance. Mr. Kohlberger, I am going to advise you of the rights that you have in this case. I am going to go over the criminal complaint with you, and then we're going to discuss setting the matter for further hearing. You have the following rights. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. You have the right to the presumption of innocence. That means the state bears the burden to prove that you are guilty of this offense beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to a preliminary hearing. A preliminary hearing is a probable cause hearing. At that hearing, the state must establish that more likely than not, these felony offenses were committed and you were the one that committed the felony offenses. You have a right to have that hearing within 14 days if you remain in custody. If you are bound over at that preliminary hearing to district court, if the court finds probable cause, you would be bound over to district court. And at that time, you can enter a plea of not guilty, and you can have a jury trial set within 6 months of your appearance in district court. At both your preliminary hearing and your jury trial, you have the right to confront and question any evidence or witnesses called against you. Call witnesses on your own behalf and compel witnesses to be present and testify at the state's expense. You have the right to be represented by a lawyer. If you cannot afford one, one could be appointed to represent you based upon your financial need. You also have the right to appeal any conviction in your case. Do you understand these rights?
Yes.
I am now going to go over the criminal complaint with you. Count 1 of the criminal complaint charges you with the felony offense of burglary. It alleges that the defendant, Brian C. Kohlberger, on or about November 13th of 2022 in Latah County, state of Idaho, did unlawfully enter a residence located at 1122 King Road, Moscow, with the intent to commit the felony crime of murder in violation of Idaho Code 18-1401 and 1403. The maximum penalty for that offense, if you plead guilty or are found guilty, is not less than 1 year in prison, no more than 10 years in prison, and or a $50,000 fine or both. Do you understand?
Yes.
Count 2 alleges that you committed the felony offense of murder in the first degree. It alleges that the defendant, Brian C. Kohlberger, on or about November 13th, 2022, in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Madison Mogan, a human being, by stabbing Madison Mogan, from which she died, in violation of Idaho Code 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. The maximum penalty for this offense, if you were to plead guilty or be found guilty, is death or imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
Count 3 alleges that you committed the felony offense of murder in the first degree. It alleges that the defendant, Brian C. Kohlberger, on or about November 13th of 2022 in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation, and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Kaylee Gonsalves, a human being, by stabbing Kaylee Gonsalves, from which she died, in violation of Idaho Code 18-4001, 4002, 4003, 4004. Again, the maximum penalty for that offense, if you plead guilty or are found guilty, is death and/or imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
Count 4 alleges that you committed the felony offense of murder in the first degree. It alleges that the defendant, Brian C. Koberger, on or about November 13th of 2022 in Latah County, Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Xana Kernodle, a human being, by stabbing Xana Kernodle, from which she died, in violation of Idaho Code 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. Again, the maximum penalty for that offense, if you plead guilty or are found guilty, is up to death and/or imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
Count 5 alleges that you committed the felony offense of murder in the first degree. It alleges that the defendant, Brian C. Koberger, on or about November 13th of 2022 in Latah County, state of Idaho, did willfully, unlawfully, deliberately, with premeditation and with malice aforethought, kill and murder Ethan Chapin, a human being, by stabbing Ethan Chapin, from which he died, in violation of Idaho Codes 18-4001, 4002, 4003, and 4004. And again, the maximum penalty for this offense, if you plead guilty or are found guilty, is up to death and imprisonment for life. Do you understand?
Yes.
And Mr. Koberger, would you like to represent yourself, hire a lawyer, or see if you qualify for court-appointed counsel?
I have court-appointed counsel.
Court has reviewed your application for attorney at public expense. I do find that you are indigent and do qualify for court-appointed counsel. I will appoint Ms. Taylor to represent you in this case. Ms. Taylor, have you had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Koberger about speedy preliminary hearing and setting this matter?
Your Honor, I have. We would ask the court to set the status hearing in a week or two to make a final determination.
Okay. And Mr. Thompson, Ms. Jennings, are you in agreement with that?
That's fine with the state, Your Honor.
I will go ahead and set this matter for a status hearing then on the calendar on January 12th at 10 o'clock a.m. We will make sure notice is sent, and then Ms. Taylor, do you wish to argue bail at this time?
Your Honor, I would like to ask the court to consider setting a bond. Mr. Koberger right now is on a no bond hold, but it's a limited request as I don't have enough information. We are new to the case. We haven't reviewed very much in the way of information about the case, and we have just done our own work on the case. But we would want the court to know that Mr. Koberger has a good family that stands behind him.
And Mr. Thompson.
You know, the state's position is that Mr. Koberger is not entitled to bond in this case. We can take the charges as is noted on the arrest warrant itself. Under Code 19-816, 19-2903, both specify that given the potential penalties in this case, there's no right to bail. The defendant was arrested 3,000 miles away across the country, where his family is. We ask that he remain in custody. No bail.
At this point in time, pursuant to Idaho Criminal Law 46B and Idaho Code 19-816 and 2903, I am going to leave the bail set at this case as no bail at this point in time until I have additional and further information at a later date and time. So with that, then Mr. Koberger, you will be remanded in custody and remain in custody on the no bail pending further proceedings in this matter. Is there anything further in the case then for today, Mr. Thompson?
Yes, Your Honor. The state is asking for no contact orders for various family members of deceased and also for surviving roommates. I've spoken briefly with Ms. Taylor, she indicated there's no objection.
And Taylor, is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
So I will go ahead and issue those no contact orders. So I do have a no contact order then for the named individual of Dylan Mortensen, Bethany Funk, as well as the family members and Mr. Chapin, the family members of Ms. Kernodle, excuse me. Yes, Mr. and Ms. Laramie, Mr. Mogan, Ms. Cheeley, and then a number of members of the Gonzalez family. Those specific names will certainly be provided to you, Mr. Koberger, by way of being provided notice of these documents. You'll get a copy of these no contact orders. What you do need to be advised of, and what will be in this no contact order, is you are prohibited from having any contact with them whatsoever. You cannot contact them through a third person in writing or by any electronic means. You cannot Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, use the phone to communicate with them, or otherwise any form of communication in direct or indirectly with them. You cannot engage in any conduct that would harass, stalk, threaten, use, attempt to use, or threaten to use any physical force or violence upon them, or place them in reasonable fear of bodily injury. You cannot go within or knowingly remain within 300 feet of their person or their home, workplace, or any other place where they might be. There are no exceptions to these orders, and if you do violate these orders, it is a new misdemeanor offense. It is punishable by up to a year in jail and or a $1,000 fine or both. At this point in time, due to being in the magistrate's division here, at this juncture, I am going to issue the no contact orders for a period of 2 years. And then if it needs to be modified or changed by additional judge, it can be done so at that time. Is there anything further, Mr. Thompson?
No, Your Honor.
Anything further, Ms. Taylor?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. We are adjourned.
All right, there you have it. Your first look at Brian Koberger making his first court appearance in Idaho there. And there's a lot to absorb here. And Matt, I'm going to start with you there.
Wow. 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 Okay. First of all, welcome if you're just coming in. I vote Santa DA 2024. He's a boss. He's a pimp. The judge is super awesome. I love when the judge said, and she emphasized, death or life imprisonment. That is your multiple choice, vegan boy. That's all you've got. Now, you had quite a questionnaire going on, didn't you, before you started stalking these people? But that's your multiple choice. That's your multiple choice today. You do understand death or life imprisonment. No one's messing with him. Yes, Santa 2024. That's new merch. That's new merch. Let's start looking at this probable cause. I know you guys have all read it. I've read it. I don't care if you've read it 50 times. You're probably going to hear it 500 times on this channel, so buckle up, because this is a lot to absorb. I am shocked that they put so much in. I am so shocked that they put so much in. Here's the thing. Even though they've given us all this information, there's more. There's more. Yeah. This came out what is this? It's 12:42 right now, my time. It came out about 2 hours ago, so I know people have already read it as many times as they can. And there's this. Snow like the Kool-Aid Man. Y'all, Dylan got some heat coming her way. Britt, Dylan got some splaining to do. I can't believe they didn't redact the names. I figured this would be so heavily redacted, all we would see in it is possibly Knife and Elantra. Knife and Elantra. Sunset said he's prohibited from contacting the family of victims. Yeah, good call. Good call. Good call. You think maybe they loaded it up like this to throw it back in people's faces? We had people saying that the police were trying to cover up this crime. We had people, of course, many people just saying they weren't doing a good job. Now, I'm going to bring this up again. This will be merchandise that you all can wear on your own body if you like to. Do we remember all of those freaks that kept jumping all over my ass every time I said there's no way you could sleep through this? When I said it's one thing if it's the regular noise that the house made, but I said there's no way you're going to sleep through these screams. You've never heard this. Not only did they tell me I was victim shaming, they also said, oh, yeah, you can. You can sleep through all those screams. It's really simple, Brooks. You see, when you cut someone's throat, you immediately get the vocal cords. No. 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 All right, so let's look through this probable cause. Every page is like a 3-hour show. There's an eyewitness. Dylan is an eyewitness. She heard the crying. She heard the shuffling. These are all her words, not mine. I didn't write this. Now, I don't know if I should reach this far or not because this is all a lot at once. I don't know that much about their wounds. I'm not a doctor. If she had maybe called 911, do you think one of them could have been saved? Do you think the ambulance could have got there in time to stop the bleeding? I don't know. I don't know. Let's see. We'll see. Let's read through it. You guys tell me. All right. The below information is provided by Brett Payne, who is a duly appointed, qualified, and acting peace officer. So we all believe that he is good enough to tell the story. We don't need to go through all that. We know Idaho State Police was involved and the FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation. On November 13th, 2022 at approximately 4 p.m. Now, I have to start right there with 4 p.m. because I thought the call was made before noon, 11:58 a.m. But we'll talk about that another time. MPD Sergeant Blaker and I responded to King Road, Moscow, Idaho, hereafter the King Road residence, to assist with scene security and processing of a crime associated with 4 homicides. Upon our arrival, the ISP forensic team was on scene and was preparing to begin processing the scene. MPD Officer Smith, one of the initial responding officers to the incident, advised he would walk me through the scene. Bet he wishes he called in sick to work that day. Smith and I entered the King Road residence through the bottom floor on the north side of the building. So floor 1. I almost need to put the layout of the house up. Smith and I then walked upstairs to the second floor. Smith directed me down the hallway to the west bedroom on the second floor, which I later learned through Xana's driver's license and other personal belongings found in the room was Xana Kernodle, hereafter Kernodle's room. Just before this room, there was a bathroom door on the south wall of the hallway. As I approached the room, I could see a body later identified as Kernodle's laying on the floor. Kernodle was deceased with wounds which appeared to have been caused by an edged weapon. Also in the room was a male later identified as Ethan Chapin, hereafter Chapin. Chapin was also deceased with wounds later determined. Autopsy report provided by blank page, Spokane County Medical Examiner, to be caused by sharp force injuries. I then followed Smith upstairs to the third floor of the residence. The third floor consisted of 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. The bedroom on the west side of the floor was later determined to be Kaylee Goncalves, hereafter Goncalves' room. I later learned from the review of Officer Nunna's body camera that there was a dog in the room when MPD initially responded. The dog belonged to Kaylee and her ex-boyfriend, Jack. I found out from my interview with Jack on November 13th that he and Kaylee shared the dog. Officer Smith then pointed out a small bathroom on the east side of the third floor. This bathroom shared a wall with Madison Mogan, hereafter Mogan's bedroom, which was situated on the southeast corner of the third floor. Akita made it in. Akita said, "God, this makes me mad." Spill it, Akita. Let us know. He says, as I entered this bedroom, I could see 2 females in the single bed in the room. Both Kaylee and Maddie were deceased with visible stab wounds. I also later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogan's right side when viewed from the door. The sheath was later processed and had K-Bar USMC and the United States Marine Corps Eagle Globe and anchor insignia stamped on the outside of it. The Idaho State Lab later located a single source of male DNA left on the button snap of the knife sheath. Wow. Wow. As part of the investigation, numerous interviews were conducted by MSD officers, Idaho State Police detectives, FBI agents. 2 of the interviews included BF and DM. Both BF and DM were inside the King Road residence at the time of the homicides and were roommates to the victims. So they're talking about Dylan and Bethany. I don't do good with all the now known as. It is Kaylee, Maddie, Xana, Ethan, Dylan, Bethany. As part of the investigation, numerous interviews were conducted by MSP. I just read all that. Okay, so Dylan and Bethany, as we know, were home, as we've been told, for almost 2 months. Almost 2 months. They were inside the King Road residence at the time of the homicides and were roommates to the victims. Bethany's bedroom was located on the east side of the first floor of the King Road residence. I'm going to have to go through and look at exactly what room that is to make sure I wasn't told a big fat lie for the last 2 months. Based on numerous interviews conducted by MPD officers, ISP detectives, and FBI agents, as well as my review of evidence, I have learned the following. On the evening of November 12th, 2022, Ethan and Xana are seen by Bethany at the Sigma Chi house on the University of Idaho campus from approximately 9 p.m. on November 12th to 1:45 a.m. on November 13th. Bethany also estimated that at approximately 1:45 a.m., Ethan and Xana returned to the King Road residence. Bethany also stated that Ethan did not live in the King Road residence but was a guest of Xana's. Kaylee and Maddie were at a local bar, the Corner Club, in Moscow. Kaylee and Maddie can be seen on video footage provided by the Corner Club between 10 p.m. on November 12th and 1:30 a.m. on November 13th. At approximately 1:30 a.m., Kaylee and Maddie can be seen on video at a local food vendor called the Grub Truck. I gotta go up a little bit. The Grub Truck live streams video from their food truck on the streaming platform Twitch, which is available for public viewing on their website. This video was captured by law enforcement. A private party, which is blanked out, reported that he provided a ride to Kaylee and Maddie at approximately 1:56 a.m. from the Grub Truck back to King Road. Dylan and Bethany both made statements during interviews that indicated the occupants of the King Road residence were home by 2 a.m. and asleep or at least in their rooms by approximately 4 a.m. This is with the exception of Xana, who received a DoorDash order at the residence at approximately 4 a.m. Law enforcement identified the DoorDash delivery driver who reported this information. I wonder why they've been saying this happened between 3 and 4 a.m. if she got a DoorDash at 4 a.m. Am I reading that wrong? All right, so they know who the DoorDash delivery driver is. Thank God. Thank God that is in this document that they know who the driver is. Dylan stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the southeast side of the second floor. Dylan stated she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m. by what she stated sounded like Kaylee playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which were located on the third floor. A short time later, Dylan said she heard who she thought was Kaylee say something to the effect of, "There's someone's here. There's someone here." A review of records obtained from a forensic download of Xana's phone showed this could also have been Xana, as her cellular phone indicated she was likely awake and using the TikTok app at 4:12 a.m. I wonder why they have been saying this whole time 3 and 4 a.m. That did not happen. Who's misbehaving? Jules says, we ask that you please be respectful in chat to the panel and host. Who's being bad? Nobody could be worse than the dude we're reading about. Hi, Glenjamin. Okay, so Xana was on TikTok at 4:12 a.m. Now, the picture I put up, and I've put up many times, but this morning, his white Elantra was captured at 3:45 a.m. on Highway 8. Was he on the way there? Was he on the way to the house? Well, would he not have? Well, I don't know. The DoorDash person was there at 4 a.m. Some people are already saying he's the DoorDash guy. Even though this document says they have spoken to the DoorDash guy, he could be the DoorDash guy. We'll find out. Dylan stated she looked out of her bedroom but did not see anything. When she heard the comment about someone being in the house, Dylan stated she opened her door a second time. When she heard what she thought was crying coming from Xana's room, Dylan then said she heard a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." At approximately 4:17 a.m., a security camera located at King Road, a residence immediately to the northwest of 1122. Okay, a camera located at 1112 King Road, a residence immediately to the northwest of 1122 King Road, picked up a distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper followed by a loud thud. A dog can also be heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17 a.m. The security camera is less than 50 feet from the west wall of Xana's bedroom. Dylan stated she opened her door for the third time after she heard the crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. Dylan described the figure as 5'10" or taller, male, not very muscular, but athletically built with bushy eyebrows. The male walked past Dylan as she stood in a frozen shock phase. The male walked towards the back sliding glass door. What? Dylan locked herself in her room after seeing the male. Dylan did not state that she recognized the male. This leads investigators to believe that the murderer left the scene. The combination of Dylan's statements to law enforcement, reviews of forensic downloads of records from Bethany and Dylan's phone, and video of a suspect video as described below leads investigators to believe the homicides occurred between 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m. 4 people in 25 minutes? Whoa! I missed that the first time I read this. This is a lot to take in. During the processing of the crime scene, investigators found a latent shoe print. This was located during the second processing of the crime scene by the ISP forensic team by first using a presumptive blood test and then amino black, a protein stain that detects the presence of cellular material. The detected shoe print showed a diamond-shaped pattern similar to the pattern of a Vans type shoe sole, just outside the door of Dylan's bedroom, located on second floor. This is consistent with Dylan's statement regarding the suspect's path to travel. Now, I'm not saying I want anything to happen to Dylan at all. At all. Why did he spare Dylan? It's fair to say he didn't know Bethany was in the home. She wasn't on the second floor. Dylan's going to have a long, long, long life of therapy, for sure. Because she knows the same thing we know. She didn't call for help. This is crazy. Wow. As part of the investigation, an extensive search, commonly referred to in law enforcement as video canvass, was conducted in the area of the King Road residence. This video canvass was to obtain any footage from the early morning hours of November 13th in the area of the King Road residence and surrounding neighborhoods in an effort to locate the suspects or suspect vehicles, plural, traveling to or leaving from the King Road residence. This video canvass resulted in the collection of numerous surveillance videos in the area from both residential and business addresses. I have reviewed numerous videos that were collected and have had conversations with other MPD officers, ISP detectives, and the FBI agents that are similarly reviewing footage that was obtained. A review of camera footage indicated that a white sedan, hereafter suspect vehicle 1, was observed traveling westbound in the 700 block of Indian Hills Drive in Moscow at approximately 3:26 a.m. and westbound on Steiner Avenue at Idaho State Highway 95 in Moscow at approximately 3:28 a.m. On this video, it appeared suspect vehicle 1 was not displaying a front license plate. A review of footage from multiple videos obtained from the King Road neighborhood showed multiple sightings of suspect vehicle 1 starting at 3:29 a.m. and ending at 4:20 a.m. These sightings show vehicle 1 makes an initial 3 passes by the 1122 King Road residence and then leave via Walenta Drive. Based off of my experience as a patrol officer, this is a residential neighborhood with a very limited number of vehicles that travel in the area during the early morning hours. Upon review of the video, there are only a few cars that enter and exit this area during this time frame. The car can be seen entering the area a fourth time at approximately 4:04 a.m. It can be seen driving eastbound on King Road, stopping and turning around in front of 500 Queen Road, number 52, and then driving back westbound on King Road. When the car is in front of the King Road residence, it appeared to unsuccessfully attempt to park or turn around in the road. The vehicle then continued to the intersection of Queen Road and King Road, where it can be seen completing a three-point turn and then driving eastbound again down Queen Road. The car is next seen departing the area of the King Road residence at approximately 4:20 a.m. at a high rate of speed. The car is next observed traveling southbound on Walenta Drive. Based on my knowledge of the area and review of camera footage in the neighborhood that does not show the car during that time frame, I believe that suspect vehicle 1 likely exited the neighborhood at Palouse River Drive, and I'm going to butcher this name, and Konstaga Drive. Palouse River Drive is at the southern edge of Moscow and proceeds into Whitman County, Washington. Eventually, the road leads to Pullman, Washington. Pullman, Washington is approximately 10 miles from Moscow. Both Pullman and Moscow are small college towns, and people commonly travel back and forth between them. Law enforcement officers provided video footage of suspect vehicle 1 to forensic examiners with the FBI that regularly utilize surveillance footage to identify the year, make, and model of an unknown vehicle that is observed by one or more cameras during the commission of a criminal offense. The forensic examiner has approximately 35 years law enforcement experience with 12 years at the FBI. His specific training includes identifying unique characteristics of vehicles, and he uses a database that gives visual clues of vehicles across states to identify differences between vehicles. After reviewing the numerous observations of Brian's car, let's just say it, the forensic examiner initially believed that suspect vehicle 1 was a 2011 to 2013 Elantra. Upon further review, he indicated it could also be 2011 to 2016 Elantra. As a result, investigators have been reviewing information on persons in possession of a vehicle that is 2011 to 2016 white Elantra. Investigators were given access to video footage on the Washington State University campus located in Pullman, Washington. A review of that video indicated that at approximately 2:44 a.m. on November 13th, a white sedan, which was consistent with the description of the white Elantra known as suspect vehicle 1, was observed on WSU surveillance cameras traveling north on Southeast Nevada Street at Northeast Stadium Way. At approximately 2:53 a.m., a white sedan, which is consistent with the description of the Elantra known as suspect vehicle 1, was observed traveling southeast on Nevada Street in Pullman, Washington towards SR 270. SR 270 connects Pullman, Washington to Moscow, Idaho. This camera footage from Pullman was provided to the same FBI forensic examiner. The forensic examiner identified the vehicle observed in Pullman as being a 2014 to 2016 Elantra. Have to drink some water. Hang on. At approximately 5:25 a.m., a white sedan, which was consistent with the description of suspect vehicle 1, was observed on 5 cameras in Pullman, Washington, and on Washington State University campus cameras. The first camera that recorded the white sedan was located at 1300 Johnson Road in Pullman. The white sedan was observed traveling northbound on Johnson Road. Johnson Road leads directly back to West Palouse River Drive in Moscow, which intersects with Conestoga Drive. The white sedan was then observed turning north on Bishop Boulevard and northwest on SR 270. At approximately 5:27 a.m., the white Elantra was observed on cameras traveling northbound on Stadium Way at Nevada Street, Stadium Way at Grimes Way, Stadium Drive at Wilson Road, and Stadium Way at Cougar Way. Wow. Depiction showing Moscow and Pullman. Now it says depiction showing white Elantra's path of travel, but not to scale. So where the yellow triangle is, that's the white Elantra seen leaving WSU campus. Then the red triangle is white Elantra seen returning to the campus. Arrows are camera locations and indicate vehicle direction of travel. We'll have to come back to that one. On November 25th, MPD asked area law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout for white Hyundai Elantras in the area. On November 29th, approximately 12:28 a.m., Washington State University police officer Daniel Tinigo queried white Elantras registered at WSU. As a result of that query, he located a 2015 white Elantra with a Pennsylvania license plate, LFZ 8649. Okay, they came to the public. They announced publicly on December 7th that they were looking for a 2011 to 2013 white Elantra. This says right here on November 25th, MPD asked area law enforcement agencies to be on the lookout. So amongst themselves, if you know what I mean, law enforcement, they already knew what they were looking for. They just didn't say anything publicly about it until the 7th. So that is very interesting. Also very interesting that when they reached out to local law enforcement in Pullman and they were going through license tags at WSU, they pull up Pennsylvania license plate LFZ 8649. Who changed their tag on the 18th but did not tell them that he changed his tag? Brian. On November 18th, Brian got Washington tags. This vehicle was registered to Brian Kahlberger, hereafter Kahlberger, residing at 1630 Northeast Valley Road, apartment 201. Is approximately 3/4 of a mile from the intersection of Stadium Way and Cougar Way. That same day at approximately 12:58 a.m., WSU officer Curtis Whitman was looking for white Hyundai Elantras and located a 2015 white Hyundai Elantra at 1630 Northeast Valley Road. So to answer OT's question from when she came on panel today, why did nobody around there say anything about a white Elantra? They did. They've known about this for a long time. Officer Whitman also ran the car, and it returned to Kahlberger with a Washington tag. Yeah, because he got the tag November 18th. I reviewed Kahlberg's Washington State driver's license information and photograph. This license indicates that Kahlberger is a white male with a height of 6 foot and weighs 185 pounds. Additionally, the photograph of Kahlberger shows that he has bushy eyebrows. Well, damn. Kahlberger's physical description is consistent with the description of the male Dylan saw inside the King Road residence on November 13th. So, the clip that we were listening to this morning which these experts don't have. I say experts in jest. They don't have the case file, so they can't really say anything. They can give their educated opinion. But when he said it's not like there's an eyewitness, there's eyewitness AF going on. Dylan looked right at him. There's an eyewitness. Shoo. So the bushy eyebrows match who Dylan saw. Yeah. Further investigation, including a review of Latah County Sheriff Deputy CPL Duke's body cam and reports, showed that on August 21st, 2022, Brian was detained as part of a traffic stop that occurred in Moscow, Idaho, by CPL Duke. At the time, Kauberger, who was the sole occupant, was driving a white 2015 Elantra with a Pennsylvania plate, which was set to expire on November 30th, 2022. During the stop, which was recorded via a law enforcement body camera, Kauberger provided his phone number as his cellular telephone number. Investigators conducted electronic database queries and learned that 8458 phone is a number issued by AT&T. On October 14th, Brian was detained as part of a traffic stop by a WSU police officer. Upon review of that body cam and report of the stop, Kauberger was the sole occupant and was driving a white 2015 Hyundai Elantra, again with the same Pennsylvania plate. On November 18th, according to Washington State Licensing, Brian registered the 2015 white Elantra with Washington and later received Washington plate CFB8708. Prior to this time, the 2015 white Elantra was registered in Pennsylvania, which does not require a front license plate to be displayed. Neither does Oklahoma. Fun fact, we don't have to have a front license plate. It says, based on my own experience and communication with Washington law enforcement, I know that Idaho and Washington require front and back license plates to be displayed. Investigators believe that Kauberger is still driving the 2015 white Elantra because his vehicle was captured on December 13th by a license plate reader in Loma, Colorado. Kauberger's Elantra was then queried on December 15th by law enforcement in Hancock County, Indiana. On December 16th at approximately 2:26 p.m., surveillance video showed Kauberger's Elantra in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. The sole occupant of the vehicle was a white male whose description was consistent with Brian's. Bushy eyebrows and all. Bushy Brian. Kauberger has family in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. They learned that through a TLO search and locate tool database query. Based on information provided on the WSU website, Brian is currently a PhD student in criminology at Washington State University. Pursuant to records provided by a member of the interview panel for Pullman Police Department, we learned that Brian's past education included undergraduate degrees in psychology and cloud-based forensics. These records also showed Brian wrote an essay when he applied for an internship with the Pullman Police Department in the fall of 2022. Brian wrote in his essay that he had interest in assisting rural law enforcement agencies with how to better collect and analyze technological data in public safety operations. Brian wanted to help out Pullman, Washington law enforcement. This is a movie script. By the way, Nubian Max, thank you for becoming a new member. Thank you. Wow. Brian also posted a Reddit survey, which can be found by an open source internet search. The survey asked for participants to provide information to understand how emotions and psychological traits influence decision-making when committing a crime. As part of this investigation, law enforcement obtained search warrants to determine cellular devices that utilized cellular towers in close proximity to the King Road residence on November 13th between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. After determining that Kahlberger was associated to both the Elantra and the phone, investigators reviewed these search warrants. A query of the phone in these did not show the 8458 phone utilizing cellular tower resources in close proximity to the King Road residence between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m. Based on my training, experience, and conversations with law enforcement officers that specialize in the utilization of cellular telephone records as part of investigation, individuals can either leave their phone at a different location before committing a crime or turn their phone off prior to going to a location to commit a crime. This is done by subjects in an effort to avoid alerting law enforcement that a phone associated with them was in a particular area where a crime is committed. I also know that on numerous occasions, subjects will surveil an area where they intend to commit a crime prior to the date of the crime. Depending on the circumstances, this could be done a few days before or for several months prior to the commission of a crime. During these types of surveillance, it is possible that an individual would not leave their phone at a separate location or turn it off since they do not plan to commit the offense on the particular day. So, he planned it. On December 23rd, 2022, I applied for and was granted a search warrant for historical phone records between November 12th at 12 a.m. and November 14th at 12 a.m. for the phone held by the phone provider AT&T. On December 23rd, pursuant to that search warrant, I received records for the 8458 phone from AT&T. These records indicated that the phone is subscribed to Brian at an address in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, and the account has been open since June 23rd, 2022. These records also included historical cell site location information for the 8458 phone. After receiving this information, I consulted with the FBI special agent that is certified as a member of the CAST. Members of CAST are certified with the FBI to provide expert testimony in the field of historical CSLI and are required to pass extensive training that includes both written and practical examinations prior to be certified with CAST. I heard about CAST when I read a hell of documents about Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell. They even found all their burner phones. People think if someone has a burner phone, it can't be found. Oh, no, 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 no. They'll find it. They will find it. They are bad asses at what they do. Additionally, the FBI CAST that I consulted with has over 15 years of federal law enforcement experience, which includes 6 years with the FBI. From information provided by CAST, I was able to determine estimated locations for the phone from November 12th to November 13th, the time period authorized by the court. On November 13th at approximately 2:42 a.m., the phone was utilizing cellular resources that provide coverage to 1630 Northeast Valley Road, apartment 201, so his apartment. At approximately 2:47 a.m., the phone utilized cellular resources that provide coverage southeast of the Kahlberger residence, consistent with the phone leaving the residence and traveling south through Pullman, Washington. This is consistent with the movement of the white Elantra. At approximately 2:47 a.m., the phone stops reporting to the network. which is consistent with either the phone being in an area without cell coverage, the connection to the network is disabled, such as putting the phone in airplane mode, or that the phone is turned off. Wasn't it Barry Morphew that kept his phone in airplane mode? Yeah, I think old Barry did that. The phone does not report to the network again until approximately 4:48 a.m., at which time it utilized cellular resources that provide coverage to the Idaho State 95 south of Moscow, Idaho, near Blaine, Idaho. Between 4:50 a.m. and 5:26 a.m., the phone utilizes cellular resources that are consistent with the phone traveling south on ID State 95 to Genesee, Idaho, then traveling west towards Uniontown, Idaho, then north back into Pullman, Washington. At approximately 5:30 a.m., the phone is utilizing resources that provide coverage to Pullman, Washington, and consistent with the phone traveling back to Brian's apartment. The phone's movements are consistent with the movements of the white Elantra that is observed traveling north on Stadium Drive at approximately 5:27 a.m. Based on a review of the phone's estimated locations and travel, the phone's travel is consistent with that of the white Elantra. Further review indicated that the phone utilized cellular resources on November 13th that are consistent with the phone leaving the area of the Kahlberger residence at approximately 9 a.m. and traveling to Moscow, Idaho. Specifically, the phone utilized cellular resources that would provide coverage to the King Road residence between 9:12 a.m. and 9:21 a.m. The phone next utilized cellular resources that are consistent with the phone traveling back to the area of the Kahlberger residence and arriving to the area at approximately 9:32 a.m. Below is a depiction, not to scale, of the possible route taken based off of cellular site locations. Well, okay. Investigators found that the 8458 phone did connect to a cell phone tower that provides service to Moscow on November 14th, but investigators do not believe the phone was in Moscow on that date. The phone was not connected to any towers that provide service to Moscow since that date. Well, that's interesting. Based on my training, experience, and the facts of the investigation thus far, I believe that Kahlberger, the user of the phone, was likely the driver of the white Elantra that is observed departing Pullman, Washington, and that this vehicle is likely suspect vehicle 1. Additionally, the route of travel of the 8458 phone during the early morning hours of November 13th and the lack of the phone reporting to AT&T between 2:47 a.m. and 4:48 a.m. is consistent with Brian attempting to conceal his location during the quadruple homicide that occurred at the King Road residence. Yeah. On December 23rd, I was granted a search warrant for Kahlberger's historical CSLI from June 23rd to current prospective location information and a PIN registered trap and trace on the phone to aid in efforts to determine if Brian stalked any of the victims in this case prior to the offense. Conducted surveillance on the King Road residence, was in contact with any of the victims' associates before or after the alleged offense. Any locations that may contain evidence of the murders that occurred on November 13th, 2022, the location of the white Elantra registered to Brian, as well as the location of Brian. On December 23rd, pursuant to that search warrant, I received historical records for the phone from AT&T from the time the account was opened in June of 2022. After consulting with CAST, I was able to determine estimated locations for the 8458 phone from June of 2022 to present, the time period authorized by the court. The records for the phone show the 8458 phone utilizing cell resources that provide coverage to the area of 1122 King Road on at least 12 occasions prior to November 13th, 2022. All of these occasions, except for one, occurred in the late evening and early morning hours of their respective days. One of these occasions, on August 21st, 2022, the 8458 phone utilized cellular resources providing coverage to the King Road residents from approximately 10:34 p.m. to 11:35 p.m. At approximately 11:37 p.m., Brian was stopped by Latah County Sheriff's Deputy CPL Duke, as mentioned above. The phone was utilizing cellular resources consistent with the location of the traffic stop during this time at Farm Road and Pullman Highway. Okay, we've got to look at this again. So he got the warrant back on December 23rd. My brain is mush. My brain is mush right now. He opened the account with AT&T in June of 2022. So after consulting with CAST, I was able to determine estimated locations for the phone from June 22 to present. The time period, okay. The records show the phone utilizing cell resources that provide coverage to 1122 King Road on at least 12 occasions. So he was by the house 12 times? Well, I missed that the first time I read it. Why? What on earth turned him on to that house? And I think about the police saying it may not be the people in that house, it might be the house. Now, they only went back to June. Whew. Further analysis of the cellular data provided showed the phone utilized cellular resources on November 13th, consistent with the phone traveling from Pullman, Washington to Lewiston, Idaho, via US I-195. At approximately 12:36 p.m., the phone utilized cellular resources that would provide coverage to Kate's Cup of Joe coffee stand. I feel bad for Kate's Cup of Joe coffee stand. Just gonna say it right now. Located at 810 Port Drive, Clarkson, Washington. Surveillance footage from the U.S. Chef store located at 820 Port Drive, Clarkson, Washington, and adjacent to Kate's Cup of Joe showed a white Elantra consistent with suspect vehicle 1 drive past Kate's Cup of Joe at a time consistent with the cellular data from the phone. At approximately 12:46 p.m., the phone then utilized cellular data in the area of the Albertsons grocery store at 400 Bridge Street in Clarkston, Washington. Surveillance footage obtained from the Albertsons showed Brian exit the white Elantra consistent with suspect vehicle number 1 at approximately 12:49 p.m. Interior surveillance cameras showed Brian walk through the store, purchase unknown items at the checkout, and leave at approximately 1:04 p.m. Brian's possible path to travel is depicted below, and this is not to scale. Okay. Additional analysis of records for the phone indicated that between approximately 5:32 p.m. and 5:36 p.m., the phone utilized cellular resources that provide coverage to Johnson, Idaho. The 8458 phone then stops reporting to the network from approximately 5:36 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. That is consistent with the phone being that area that the phone traveled in the hours immediately following the suspected time the homicides occurred. On December 27th, Pennsylvania agents recovered the trash from the Kauberger family residence located in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. That evidence was sent to the Idaho State Lab for testing. On December 28th, the Idaho State Lab reported that the DNA profile obtained from the trash and the DNA profile obtained from the sheath identified a male as not being excluded as the biological father of suspect profile. At least 99.9998% of the male population would be expected to be excluded from the possibility of being the suspect's biological father. What? Glingeman said, always the trash, count on it. Yeah, I know when people kept saying that was just a rumor and that the FBI didn't do that, but I was like, yeah, they did. Sounds to me like, I'm not going to say yet. My brain is mush. So what they were saying, the friends, the people in Pennsylvania, that the FBI dressed up as trash men and went through the trash, spot on. They've done it before. They've done it many, many times before, actually. Let's read that paragraph again, please. I'm going to read it slower. On December 27th, Pennsylvania agents recovered the trash from the Kauberger family residence located in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania. That evidence was sent to the Idaho State Lab for testing. On the 28th, the lab reported that a DNA profile obtained from the trash and the DNA profile obtained from the sheath identified a male as not being excluded as the biological father of suspect profile. At least 99.9998% of the male population would be expected to be excluded from the possibility of being the suspect's biological father. So I guess we can guess it's his dad's knife. And then, like I said on the phone, not the phone, I got phone on the brain. As we were talking on the show earlier today, I would like to know when this trip was planned between him and his dad. For his dad to fly to Washington and drive all the way back. When did this come up? I know a lot of people chimed in and they said it was pre-planned. Okay, explain pre-planned. Was pre-planned before November 13th, 2022? Or was it after November 13th, 2022? Based on the above information, I am requesting an arrest warrant to be issued for Brian C. Kauberger, 11/21/1994. Oh, he just had a birthday. For burglary and 4 counts of murder in the first degree for the murders of Madison Kaylee, Xana, and Ethan. Wow. If I had a voice left, I would read that again from start to finish. And this is like the third time I've read it. I know, I can't even think straight. Snazzy said, law enforcement and other agencies have done a great job. To think this is not all they have to wrap this up nice and tight. Exactly. So when I was reading about his attorney and how there's certain things she challenges, that's great. By the way, she sounds like she knows her job. That's awesome. It really is. But this isn't hanging on some ancestry DNA 1, 2, 3 thing. No. Red Bull, I just heard the girl downstairs heard him and saw him go out, but didn't call the police right after that. She was on floor 2, dude. She saw him. Boo Sheet said, I'm not on board with Dylan being in shock just because she saw a masked man in the house. Why would that put her in shock? It doesn't say in the probable cause, but did she happen to look around the house after she saw him, or did she just honestly immediately go back in the room and not move until noon? He walked towards her. Jesse said Dylan was so scared she just went to sleep. Oh my God, you are so right, good grandma. If this is a bit of info, I'd hate to see what's being kept quiet. Yeah. Uh-huh. Kat said she froze. Yep. Glenjamin, she slept till noon. Yeah. So who's the unconscious person? 911 got a call about an unconscious person. Who was unconscious? Because every theory is thrown out the window now. For one, we know the dog barks. Okay, the dog barks. So this whole coming from floor 1 to floor 2, that didn't happen because Dylan was on floor 2 the whole time. This happened on her floor. So he's been around the house, according to his cellular data, 12 times prior to November 13th. What drew him to this house? Brian says he sat there looking in windows. Who all lived in the house in June? If this started in June, because I don't know the dates. I don't know the dates of when each person moved in. So when did Xana move in? When did Kaylee move in? When did Maddie move in? And we got another Kool-Aid man here. Just Me said, and why did he let her live? Why did he let her live? They can't put a lie in the probable cause. So I like how they made sure to put the shoe print adds up with what she's saying. The cell phone pings add up with what she's saying. What's not adding up is Bethany, we get. She's on floor 1. He didn't come across Bethany. He left an eyewitness. Spicy Sugar, does he know Dylan? Does he know Dylan? He wanted to get out fast after killing 4 people. Yeah. Hang on, I'm going to put the link up. Oh, I'm glad she's alive too. I mean, I'm not sitting here yelling, hey, Brian, go back. You forgot one. Has she been in protective custody this whole time? Like fainting goats. I'm a fainting goat right now, Mama Kay. I'm a fainting goat right now. Has she been in protective custody? She told them that she saw him. He saw her. Where's she been? It makes sense now why these girls haven't spoken out. If you think about it, why didn't she call immediately? Who's the unconscious person? Now I see why they never let the 911 call out. Fainting wakes me up. I'm going to put the link back up. I'm about to pass out. Jeannie, your camera's on. Jeannie, do you have a paper sack to breathe into?
Oh my God. I don't know. My head is just spinning. This is just so much to take in.
I I have to go through this part again. I don't care how they got his DNA. I really don't care. I don't care if it's from great, great, great Aunt Edna's mail-in DNA, or if it's from the trash or from his apartment. I don't care as long as they've got it. But they got it from the trash in the sheath, but it brings up his dad. So there is DNA on that knife, obviously, that had his dad's DNA on it. Correct, but I'm not saying his dad has anything to do with it. So it's his dad's knife. We can guess that. Was his dad in the Marines? I don't know.
So that's how they got Brian's DNA, through his dad. That's how they made the connection.
Through his dad is how they made the connection. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
I got it. Hang on. Rexy's backstage. Rexy, talk to me. What's going on?
Oh my God, this is just blowing my mind.
Mhm.
I just want to know why she didn't call 911 right away.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Yeah.
all take a vote. What would make you not call 911? I'm going to call 911. Look at this. Kat just gifted 5 Crime Lines and Lies memberships. I'm going to call 911. Kat needs a spanking. Look at Kat going. It is wild. What would make you not call 911? For one, you would be in fear. You would be in fear of your own life, would you not?
Oh,
Well,
yes, most definitely.
Well, after he left, you could go in your room and lock the door and then call 911.
Exactly.
I mean, why? I don't understand why it's so long to call the 911.
Yeah, 11:58 a.m. It came from one of the roommates' cell phones, but not from a roommate. And how many people, I wonder, because we don't know, showed up after they called? Did she kind of come to and from her cell phone say, get over here and tell someone that there's been a murder? You're never going to believe this. And like I said, Scooby-Doo and the gang show up and they grab the phone and call is all I can think of.
I just can't. I can't get over the fact is that he walked right by her and out the door. I can't get over that.
I think he was too wore out to kill anybody else, so he just like, oh, I'm out of here. I don't know.
And did he have a mask on?
Yes.
She said he did. Yeah.
She saw his bushy eyebrows.
Yeah, his nose and his mouth were covered.
If she saw those dead eyes, that might give him away.
Now, do you two remember all those shows when I said there's no way you could sleep through this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to be for a little while.
Especially being on the second floor right there where 2 of them were killed. I don't get it.
Now it's going to start coming out as we go through hearing after hearing after hearing. I doubt the status hearing will, but I think once we get to pretrial, that's when they're going to put together how he got in, the whole 9 yards, because I really want to hear the motive. Rexy, do you know, Jeannie, anybody who, okay, so if his phone has pinged around that house 12 times between June and November 13th, then.
And you notice the times are late at night is when he's out there.
Or early morning, probably after midnight.
Yeah, stalking them.
Yeah. Watching them.
12 times.
I'm wondering if they're like Kaylee's dad said that there was some kind of connection, and if she was the one hurt the worst, maybe that's there was something to do with her.
Was he not following Kaylee on Instagram? He was.
I don't know.
Kaylee.
I don't have Instagram, so I don't know.
Yeah, no.
He was following Madison through a verified account. This other account, they keep saying that he was following Madison and Kaylee. I heard that account was just made last Friday, so he didn't make an account in jail and start following them.
Okay, so he was following Madison then.
And the sheep was found by Madison. But here's the thing. There's blood dripping out of Xana's bedroom. who's to say Kaylee had it the worst and Xana has all the defensive wins?
That's true. We don't know who the one they said was. I just heard that one of the ones upstairs, their face was beat up real bad.
Yeah.
I don't know how true that is. That's from somebody who knows somebody on the case, blah, blah, blah. Who knows?
It would also make sense for the blood, if that was blood outside on the basement, if they found Xana on the floor.
Well, yeah, but she was by the bathroom, wasn't she? So would it have gone out clear over to that corner of the room? I don't know. Because they said they found her by the bathroom, but then they didn't say where Ethan was exactly.
No. Kat said, I was wondering if Dylan may have been high and not realize the significance at the time. That's what I'm wondering too. There has to be something going on. Now, pure shock, I guess I can get, but you're going to snap out of that at some point, I would think. But shit.
Yeah.
I mean, she knew enough to call her friends over at 11:58 in the morning. Did she, like, what made her not want to call at night?
I can't believe she slept from like 4:30 in the morning to 11:30 in the morning after what she saw. I mean,
exactly.
I
mean, I'm not victim blaming here. I would never do that. But some things just make no sense.
Yeah, there's still something missing that may come out at the trial. I don't know, because they have a lot in there. So I'm thinking, what more can they have to prove that he did it? I mean, that's pretty good evidence.
Yeah.
Who's got the bird?
I'm outside. Sorry.
You're okay.
It's easy. It's easier. My TV's on in there. My husband's watching it, and so I wouldn't be able to hear very well.
Mystified said Xana is the one that wanted her locks changed. Now, from what I'm understanding, Xana's lived there the longest, but I don't know if that's true. I think it's really important to know who's lived there the longest, who he could have been keeping an eye on. This is crazy. I've got too much going through my head. I'm just going to make a fool out of myself if I haven't already.
But
I mean, he was watching the house. Clearly, he was watching the house since June.
Mm-hmm.
But why?
So that goes back with what the police, when they changed everything a couple of weeks into December, I would say a couple of days after they came out with the white Elantra, which we know they knew about in November. They knew about it in November because Moscow police told all their law enforcement buddies, hey, we're going to be looking for this. We're looking for this car. But they didn't tell the public until December 7th. It was a couple of days after that, I believe, is when they said, now, hold your horses. We didn't say that the target was people inside the house. It could be the house. He's been watching the house.
Maybe he was just watching that house from June to see who lived there and everything. And it wasn't until all the girls moved in or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he went back the next day.
Well, stupid killers do that.
Unbelievable. He went back there the very next day.
I think he wanted to get that sheet back, but he knew there was at least one girl still alive in there, so he didn't dare go in.
That's what I'm saying. He didn't know about Bethany, it seems to me, because she was on floor 1 and she didn't see Mr. Bushy eyebrows. But
right.
He knows. He saw Dylan. He saw Dylan. Now, I'm not saying that I want Dylan killed. I'm not saying that I want, Dylan to have suffered the way that the other ones did. But it just blows my mind.
Why spare her? Why did he spare her?
I think he was wore out. He killed 4 people. I mean, maybe it was just his adrenaline went or something.
She would have been a witness, though.
Well, yeah.
She is a witness.
She's a,
Maybe he thought since his face was covered, she wouldn't recognize him. I don't know. He's done some stupid stuff for somebody so smart.
I'm
Plus,
wondering, did he do this stuff on purpose because he's been studying these serial killers? Because there's just no way.
I don't know if because he studied serial killers or maybe he had it in him and that's what made him study serial killers. I don't know.
Spicy
People like that you can't figure out anyway.
No, but they're going to have to, because they're going to have to explain this to a jury.
Yeah.
Spicy Sugar said, could be why the door was seen wide open the next morning. Yeah, big time. Big time. If I was Stephanie, I'd have been like, it's cold. Why is the door open?
But he didn't go out the front door. He went out the back door, right?
the sliding glass. Yep.
Yeah. So why would the front door be open?
That's what I want to know too. How the hell could he not see Dylan? She opened her room door several times. She can describe, he saw her. There's no way.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he walked right by her.
He walked right by her, according to him. That's how they know she's telling the truth because of the shoe print. Hello, kitty cat.
Hey, hi everyone. Hi, Brooks.
Hi,
Hi.
Lucy, I crashed the first part of your live because I was just reading the affidavit on my channel. But since I was really looking forward to you dissecting all of this. I really want to know the timeline, because his timeline and their timeline, what happened in the house timeline and his timeline. Someone ordered DoorDash at 4 a.m.
Xana, yeah.
She ordered DoorDash at 4 a.m. But
Yeah.
by the time the DoorDash would have arrived, this would have already happened, right?
It would have been right after that.
Yeah, they believe that he killed the
Four of them.
four between 4 a.m. and 4:25. The DoorDash was there at 4 a.m. and they've talked to the DoorDash driver. Thank God they didn't put all these names in there.
Right. It was hard enough trying to follow it with all the names that were in there before this arrest, but
Yeah.
it's such as it, like the timeline on the phone is really interesting as well, because it seems to me after reading this that they have a lot of circumstantial evidence
Tons.
in this affidavit. The time his phone went off, the times that he was spotted around the area or pinged off the cell towers in the time prior to the murders. Like, there's so much circumstantial evidence, and I really hope that because they've got presumably his DNA on the sheath, which they then matched to his father's DNA in Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah.
And that seems to be the evidence that they have, that the physical evidence is the DNA, right?
Yes.
And the car and the phone and all of that, cell towers and everything else is amazing circumstantial evidence. But is it enough?
Yeah.
The DNA should be, shouldn't it?
Well, they'll have to, no, because there's going to be more that comes out in the pretrial, and they'll have several hearings between now and the actual trial. This is only part of it.
Right.
I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot.
That's what I'm saying. This isn't everything. This is just enough to convince a judge.
Right.
You've been getting all these warrants for the last 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Now we're ready for an arrest. So with all these warrants you've been signing off on, this is what we've got. Do we have enough now to arrest? And they're like, yeah, it's go time. You got his daddy's DNA out of the trash can. Let's do it.
I wonder if Dylan has done I don't know, do you have like an ID parade or some kind of thing like that where you get to ID the person that you saw, or whether like her testimony will be, if she was high or something, will it be admissible? Like, that's a really strange part of the whole story, is that she heard 3 times she opened that door. 3 times she opened the door. The first time she thought she heard someone playing with the dog. Well, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. And then you hear someone saying, it's okay, I'm here to help you. And you don't think to go and do anything about that. You hear the person's voice, you don't recognize their voice. Then you open the door and come face to face with somebody, and you still don't go to see if anything's, amiss.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. She also heard somebody crying too.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So, I mean,
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense that she didn't do something.
your first instinct would be to get back in your room and call 911, wouldn't it not?
Right. And
Yeah.
also they can't have written this in this affidavit on a on a hindsight thing. This must have been what she told to them in the initial stages when she was interviewed, that
Yeah.
she'd seen this guy. So this is not hindsight that she's come back a few weeks later and gone, oh yeah, actually I think I did wake up a few times and see
No.
someone with bushy eyebrows. This is what she told them at the time.
Yeah. Yeah. When her mind was clear. Yeah. Definitely.
Right.
Yeah.
Glenn said there's a ton of evidence, eyewitness DNA, digital footprints. Oh yeah, there's tons. And this is just the probable cause. Don't even get me going. They haven't even broke down everything with the shoe print that's on the very outside of Dylan's door.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I mean, he was right there, right at her door, and he didn't do anything to her. I mean,
Yeah.
thank God, thank God he didn't. But
Christy said, so his phone pinged there 12 times since June to November. I thought Brian didn't move there till August. I heard August too, but this is the official court document. So sounds to me like after he graduated in May, he moved in June because he just got the phone in June. He had to have gotten the phone in Pennsylvania and then moved.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Considering he's been stopped a few times before this incident, like before the murders, he was stopped a few times. It speaks about in this affidavit at least 2 other occasions prior, one in August and one in October, where his vehicle was stopped, that white Elantra, and he was in that vehicle, and he still didn't have a front license plate, even though it was the law in Idaho and Washington that he had to have a front license plate.
No, hang on. It's okay. It's the law in Washington, but if you're driving through Idaho, you don't have to have one unless your car is registered in Idaho. Okay. Like
okay.
Oklahoma, we don't have to have a front license.
Okay. I read that wrong.
If I go to a state like New York where you have to have front and back, they're not going to do anything to me because my car is registered in Oklahoma.
Right. Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But he
Here in Canada,
considering that, he still didn't take many precautions to not be identified. Like, his car was already in the system. Even though it hadn't happened yet, he was already in the system because his car had been stopped on other occasions prior to this, and he still had the same vehicle.
That's what I say. He's not as smart as he thought he was.
He was winging so much of this if he thought that they weren't going to catch up with him.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Which is weird for somebody that studied criminology to the level that he has, that is supposedly quite intelligent and OCD and everything else, to have not thought about the fact that his car was already in the system.
He must have
But even in court, he still acted like he was cocky. He just I don't know, the way he answered yes adamantly when she asked do you understand the charges?
I can't remember what show it was, and he was talking about, and this hadn't even come out yet. And he said, Criminology 101, he aced that class. How did he make these mistakes? He said, it's almost like he's meaning to make these mistakes.
Right. Like he did it on purpose for some reason.
Yeah.
Or he was playing a game in his world, like, let's see how much I can get away with, maybe.
Maybe he did fill out the questionnaire. That's what I'm curious about. Whether he filled out that questionnaire or not after the murders.
His own questionnaire?
Yes.
I'm sure he did.
I still don't see any real motive for this. Not that I'm trying to understand a motive, because thankfully I don't think like someone like him. But it's just a really hard thing to think, or what could the motive possibly have been, unless he was stalking one of them.
It was a game to him.
Yeah.
And then to leave, usually, I don't know, but you would think that if you knew you'd been seen by somebody in the house and you still left that person alive, it's an even bigger risk to take.
That was a big risk. Maybe that's why he went back the next.
A criminal would take. I mean, unless he'd completely spent himself with all the energy that it must have taken him to have that much rage to attack 4 people already, unless he was completely out of energy. I don't understand what it was that made him leave Dylan.
That's what I'm thinking. He just didn't have any more adrenaline going after killing 4 people.
Killers don't leave witnesses. They
Well,
don't.
no, usually they don't. But then I don't think he's your usual killer.
True.
Thank God he made a
Well,
lot of
he
mistakes.
I mean, he's not the brightest, that's for sure.
No, and thankfully they got him. I think they did a hell of a job with all that they did, and it didn't get out.
Yeah.
Wow, still mind blown when I heard this stuff.
Right, that's another thing. I just read a comment in chat that said he really thought he was smart, but he knew he fucked up losing his sheath. Well, that's the thing as well. Like that was the first mistake he made. Really, leave your
Yeah.
DNA at the scene. Like,
Yeah,
Exactly.
Well, I mean, and besides that, the geography.
Right.
If he just wants a thrill kill, which obviously it seems like he was fixated on this house for some reason, but you make all of these mistakes, and you make those mistakes in a state that utilizes the death
the
penalty.
death penalty,
Why
exactly.
would you do that?
Exactly.
This reads
Exactly.
like a horror novel. Seriously, yeah.
yeah, it does.
Of all places, he could have picked. He'd have to pick one where the death penalty is on the table.
Well, I mean, the only thing that I can think in terms of that is perhaps he was, you know, had a bit of an S proclivity. That's how he wanted it to end. Maybe, these people that go out and shoot loads of people because they know that they're going to get shot themselves. It's like, I don't know, is that the end game here, or it's a bit of a long way round to go about it?
I don't know. That sounds pretty crazy. But you never know. People do crazy stuff all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth?
I tell you, the world's getting crazier every day.
Well, this is just flat out freaking insane, and I don't mean like
Yeah.
medically insane. There's got to be a rhyme, reason. There's a motive for everything.
Well, yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
have to make sense to any of us, and I would hope it wouldn't. But when I was going through some stuff, and they were talking about why the FBI behavioral science has been all over this, and they said because early on they couldn't rule out normal human emotions, rage, anger, jealousy, money motivations. They couldn't rule those out, so they had to bring in people who study the weirdest of the weird. So he at least has that notch on his belt.
Yeah.
This wasn't a random thought. He planned this since June. This was premeditated. He was out to do something to those people, to Xana, to Ethan, to Madison, and Kaylee. He was out to do something with them since June.
Well, then you have to ask yourself, why those people?
Yeah. Why that house? Why those people?
None of them studied the same subjects as him, did they?
No.
No,
I think so. In that respect, like they weren't in the same class. They weren't even at the same university.
I mean, it could have been jealousy. He could have been jealous of them. They were popular. They were, they
but
had
they weren't
everything.
At his school. Didn't even go to his school.
No.
Like I just wondered how would he have even met them?
Well, like Alicia said, he craved effed up recognition, I think.
Maybe.
He did something about this house because, for one, Ethan doesn't live there.
No.
Yeah.
That's true.
Been there for like a week before. I believe Bethany moved in August, and so did, I'm probably saying this wrong, so did Dylan. Is it Maddie or Xana that have been there the longest? One of them has been there since last year.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure who moved in there first. For some reason, I think it's Madison, but I'm not sure.
I've heard so many things. Like if you put all four of their leases in front of me right now, I wouldn't believe you. My brain is oatmeal right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like the rest of us.
Oh, no.
Well, and then when I think about us watching his hearing this morning, or like when I started the show and we started watching the hearing, and he's very forthright in his
Yeah.
answers. And when the judge is saying, you do understand, she goes through all 4 counts of murder. This is death or life imprisonment. And he leans up. Yes. She
I
Oh,
know.
yeah. No
Like-
stuttering at all, was there? He didn't
says it
stutter a bit.
Yeah, she says it again. Yes. And I'm like, all right, Brian, we get it. You can nod.
Yes.
Yeah, he was
seems-
cocky or something, like
He seems
sure of
so
himself.
confident. In
Yeah.
my opinion, he's confident that he didn't do this. He's so confident.
Think about the wording he chose through the attorney in Pennsylvania. When it's not, I'm eager to go back and prove I didn't do this, or I'm eager to prove my innocence, or, prove I have nothing to do with this, or whatever. He says, I'm eager. How was it said? I don't even think eager was a word, but I'm going to go back and be exonerated.
Yeah.
Exonerated. First of all, nobody gets exonerated in our justice system, but he's going to be exonerated.
Yeah.
Look
Yeah.
at all the shit they have stacked. That's like saying that he should have never been suspected in the first place. Look at what we're reading.
Yeah.
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 Did they read that to him in court or no?
They didn't have that part televised. I'm just gonna assume
Okay.
that
His lawyer.
his lawyer read through it before.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And he didn't seem to be bothered at all, did he?
Nope.
No. It's like Nubian Max said. The judge spelled it out to him. I mean, she's looking straight at him. She's like, death or
Yeah.
life imprisonment. Yes. Now they can't kill him 4 times.
No.
Yeah.
Well, can't you almost kill him and bring him back and try almost kill him, bring him down?
Only Oklahoma can do that with Clayton Lockett. If you've never heard it, go listen. You can't kill him 4 times, and we've only got 1 life. You could have just lumped it all in and been like, look, mofo, for all 4 of these, you're either going to get killed or you're going to be in jail for the rest of your life. Then we would have only gotten 1 yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you imagine how the families felt though when he walked in that courtroom? And God, that had to be so hard.
They have a really tough.
I wonder when they were given the probable cause.
Yeah. Yeah.
Way before it was put
I
out
would
there,
think before
sure.
it was, before
Yeah.
it was public.
Oh, yes.
I would hope so, but
Yeah.
sometimes it doesn't work that way. I just really hope they had a victim's advocate with them, printed out, and sat down with them. Because here's the thing. This isn't even the bad part. I know it's hard to say that. This isn't what they're going to hear at trial.
Right.
When they have the actual medical examiner from Spokane.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And this is how they died of their injuries. And he's going to explain the blood loss and all of that for the jury to hear. That's when it's going to come out. They didn't die instantly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No.
But there has been a chance to save any of those 4 if Dylan had called 911.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I understand there was a couple people in here in the show and they didn't really like what I was saying about Dylan. It's nothing personal. I don't know Dylan, and they're not in here now. And I understand that, because if you can't agree with somebody, or just find some, agree to disagree, I get that. Get away from them. But let me ask, all of you in here, would you have any sort of resentment if your child was murdered November 13th on King Road and someone witnessed it and didn't call for help? Would you have a resentment towards that person?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would.
I would be upset, and I would be asking why.
I'd be so effing mad. If I could get my hands on him when I was done with him, I'd be on that roommate that didn't call. She would rue the day she ever came across me. They said protective order for him not to contact the roommates or the families. They would need a protective order for me not to get my hands on her.
Yeah.
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 I
mean,
doubt
it's-
she's gone back to school, so she's probably at home wherever that is.
And I hope
Right.
she's getting a lot of therapy and a lot of help because
Yeah.
she's gonna have to deal with this the rest of her life. And I'm just saying, as a normal human being, normal emotions, no crazy Brian shit. How would you feel if you knew somebody was in there that could have called for help and didn't?
right.
Would you be like, well, she was in shock, but my child did get stabbed to death because
Right.
at floor 2 she could have called 911 and
Yeah.
saved Madison and Kaylee.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, another thing too, she's gonna have survivor's guilt for a long time. A long time.
That's true.
Like,
Well,
why?
yeah, I mean, will she have to stand up in court because she's a witness, surely?
Oh,
She
hell yeah,
would.
she will.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. Yes.
And then she's going to have to explain to the whole of the US at
Yes.
least, if not the whole of the world, why she didn't call at that particular moment in time when she saw the face of this man that they've now picked up for 4
Well,
counts of murder.
You want to believe that's going to be one of the questions that his lawyer's going to have.
Oh, I
Mhm.
believe that. I to be fair, I'd want to know that. I'd be
Well,
all
yes.
over that.
For sure. For sure. I'd want to know.
Because I want to know what excuse or what reason she has for not
Yes.
calling the police at the minute that she heard someone crying and hearing someone say, I'm here to help you, and opening the door 3 times and looking into the face of a man she didn't know
Yeah.
who was right outside the door.
that
And
had
he-
a mask on.
And had a mask.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Right,
A bloody footprint right outside that door.
right. I want to know what the reason is for that.
Yeah.
Not
I mean,
calling the
she-
police at that
she
minute.
She had to have known he was an intruder. She had to have known
Right.
with him with the mask on. She had to have known.
Right. And then she waits until halfway through the next day to inform the police that someone might be unconscious in the house.
A man. And she didn't even make the call. Somebody else did from one of the roommates' phones.
Right.
Summer said more to this story, in my opinion.
Yeah.
There's probably 20 other chapters to this story.
Yeah.
And we're not going to hear it all till the very end.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
the probable cause is probably because that's really what it
Yeah.
comes down to. We suspect him. He did it probably because of this is the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah.
Oh, we lost Rexy.
Rexy said it's getting ready to storm, so she had to go. Rexy,
Oh.
we miss you. Good grandma said, did she think it was a prank for Halloween or something like that? I don't. Maybe that's what she's gonna say. That that might, but still, she didn't come
It's
out
a
of
bit
her.
late for Halloween, though. Halloween's on the 31st of October. This was on the 13th of November. I think people would have been more towards Thanksgiving by that point of the month.
But would she not be questioning herself? Okay, why is the dog barking? Okay, why is somebody crying? Okay, why is somebody saying it's okay? Wouldn't she not question herself and say, what's going on?
And
Then why
especially
is-
at the point where your brain had come down from just coming face to face with this intruder and you sat on your bed for a minute, you're not going to fall asleep at that point. I struggle to think of any condition even that would make you fall asleep with that level of stuff going on in your mind.
Your adrenaline would be up. Her adrenaline would be going sky high at this point. She would not be laying down sleeping as soon as she went in her room. There's no way.
Right, or at least did she have a roommate? If she just like wake someone else up and be like, did you hear that? Like, can we go check? Like, you don't even have to go up there on your own and have a look. Just wake someone else up and go up with them. Like,
or call.
Let me ask you guys this. Okay, let's just forget about all the roommates. Okay, let's just forget about let's take the families out and everything like that. If you opened your door 2 or 3 times because of screaming, crying, barking dog, and you see a man in a mask, would you call 911 to save your own ass?
Hell yeah.
Straight away.
What made her think that he wasn't going to kill her? Does
I'd
she
be shutting that door some
Does
fast.
she know him? Does she know him? What made her think that he would not come
Kill
after her?
Yeah, exactly. I'd be shutting that door, calling 911 right away. I mean, I'd be like, somebody's in my house. I don't know who's in my house, but somebody's in my house. Can you get over here?
Yeah.
And to
And-
stay in the house up until the gang comes over at noon, how do you know he's not going to come back and realize he had an eyewitness and then kill you?
Right.
I don't get it.
No,
Right.
I don't either.
Exactly.
I certainly wouldn't be able to sleep. I think I'd be awake for a month wondering, you know what I mean? I'd have to call the police straight away. I wouldn't be able to just lay down and go to sleep and be like, oh,
No.
all of those things that I've just heard across the last couple of hours must be just a figment of my imagination. I think I'll just go to sleep and in the morning see what happens. No way.
Or did she think she was dreaming or having a nightmare or
3 times in one night.
Mhm.
it makes absolutely no sense. No sense. I mean,
Unless-
I've never heard tell of that before.
Unless she was
Somebody-
just, I mean, I hate to accuse anyone, but unless she was so off her face, like on drugs or alcohol or whatever, that she kind of convinced herself that she was just high and that she just needed to sleep it off, or she passed out or something. I mean, it's just too weird.
Yeah, but she knew something had woken her up. The dog barking, it woke her up.
She wasn't even
She
asleep.
wasn't asleep.
She wasn't even asleep. She was in her room and she started hearing all this. And they go through the affidavit and they're saying everything she says matches up because Xana was on her TikTok at 4:12. Well,
Yeah.
they can't figure anything out with the dog because we didn't get that dog whisperer that people were talking about. They're talking about the footprint outside her door, a lot of cell phone activity. So she was awake.
She was awake.
Outside her door. She hears Xana crying. She goes in and shuts the door.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling after that door shut and she sees him with bushy eyebrows, he goes upstairs and he kills Kaylee and Madison.
Mhm.
Yep. And then walks right by her and walks right out the door, the sliding glass door. Wow.
JT said you would think it's a burglar mask and all in black. So for your own ass, just think about your own selfish will to live. You would call 911.
Right.
Why was she not scared? Some people, I know what people are going to say. She was frozen in shock.
Well, she was
That-
frozen in shock, but she still managed to shut the door because it says it in the affidavit that she went inside her room and shut the door.
Exactly.
She wasn't that
Exactly.
frozen because she knew that she had to do that.
Yeah.
She had a phone in her room. There was absolutely nothing from stopping her from grabbing her phone and phoning the police at that time rather than waiting till the next day and then leaving it for someone else to call the police.
Exactly.
DT said, what was Dylan's relationship with her roommates? All the social media, particularly between her and Kaylee, were like very, very, they're friends. I mean, they're friends.
They're
But
friends.
that's social media. I don't know. Peppermint Tea, I stand corrected. She said he was leaving when she saw him, so it was all over. I just still wonder, would you not be afraid he's going to come in your room and kill you? Is he not going to go downstairs and kill Bethany? From what I understand, she's a lot closer with Bethany than Xana, Madison, and Kaylee.
Yeah.
But also, she didn't know that it was all over, did she? She didn't know it was all over.
I wouldn't have known it was all over unless Peppermint Tea just told me.
Well, and also you wouldn't have known it was all over because you wouldn't have known what had happened that was now all over. You wouldn't have known because you didn't go and investigate it and you didn't call the police to come and investigate it. You just locked your door and went to sleep.
Exactly. So how would she know it was all over? Like,
I mean, this is never going to be all over for her. Never.
No. And also, I don't know if any of you ever watch that show Cops or the shows about the different 911 calls. I can't speak for Dylan. I don't know Dylan, but I can say this. Drunk and high people are not shy to call the authorities.
Huh.
They have no problem. I mean, the officer will be right in their face as they're holding a Jack Daniels bottle and say, "Do you have anything to drink tonight?"
Right.
Yeah.
And like they're breathing fire water right in their face. No, not me, but I know something's going on. Snazzy, thank you for the super sticker. Said maybe it was Dylan he was stalking. That may be why the no contact was put in place with Dylan. True. Hallucinogenic drugs, mushrooms, maybe in abundance of them on the West Coast. We've heard about that in another case. I'm not gonna chalk this up to just because she was. I want to know more. Let me put it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. I mean, it wasn't like the police were unaware of that house either, because the police have been there on several other occasions to deal with other complaints and other noise complaints and everything else. So, you know, to some extent, it just doesn't make sense why she wouldn't have called the police at that point. Because, like you said earlier, she could have saved someone's life if she had.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I agree.
Rexy says, you don't think he killed Maddie and Kaylee first? It only took 25 minutes. Yeah, it took 25 minutes for 4 murders. I don't know who he killed first, honestly. I just remember Steve saying he didn't need to go up the stairs.
Plus,
I don't know why Steve said that, because of course that led to a lot of who's the target. I'm just gonna, I mean, was Dylan the object of his affections, and so he killed all these people to have her to himself? I don't know.
plus they fought. There's defensive wounds on some of the victims, so they were fighting with him.
Xana definitely had
Defensive wounds.
Yeah.
She fought back. And Dylan's no small boy there. He's pretty big. I mean, to fight back with this guy. You know?
Good Grandma said, could she have been blackout drunk? We're gonna find out. They're going to have to address why she didn't call 911.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
gonna have to address why she didn't call 911.
Well, she seems to have a pretty good memory of what she heard and saw if she was blackout drunk.
There you go.
Exactly.
Because we have some insane detail in this affidavit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She knew what she heard. She told the police the next day what she heard. No, I don't believe she was blackout drunk or high or no, she remembered. She remembered everything.
Not only did she remember everything, it matches up with other evidence they collected. Let's see what AJ has to say. Hey, AJ, what do you think about all this?
Well, hello, girls. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Well, yeah. Can you hear me properly?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Well, first of all, I had a feeling that one of the girls heard something, and I knew the dog was gonna bark.
Okay.
And it's all pretty weird to me that she won't call 911.
Was her phone?
Even though if you're in shock.
Well, think about this. Was her phone dead and she was afraid to leave the room to go find a phone? I don't know. There's got to be a reason.
Yeah.
Come on. My daughter sleeps with her phone on charge right next to her ear.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Was she very good friends with them, or did she have, she wasn't that good friends with them? We don't know. There's so many questions. So many questions.
Peppermint Tea said, was her phone even with her? Did she go back in there and just shut the door and wait because she didn't have her phone in the room with her?
Well, earlier that night, she sent a picture of her and Kaylee on video, so she must have had her phone with her.
At that time,
yeah. I don't know. It's so crazy. It just makes no sense.
Snazzy said, hold on, she was on the 2nd floor, which is not what we have been thinking this whole time. I'm not saying that the police told us anything. It's just what we assumed. Bethany and Dylan on floor 1, Xana and Ethan on 2, Madison and Kaylee on 3. Dylan was on floor 2.
Yeah.
Snazzy says, hold on, she was on the 2nd floor. So were the 2 found outside the bedroom by the bathroom? How did she not see them laying on the floor? That's what I'm wondering too, because I can't quite figure out where they found Xana and Ethan. I'm seeing a lot of northwest, east, south stuff going on. I have to read it again Forgive me. And as far as her phone being dead, she's got electricity in her damn room. All I can think of is if she left that phone outside of her room and she was in her room when all this went down. That's all I can think of.
Yeah.
Nothing else makes sense.
No. No. I mean, oh, I don't know. I'm like speechless.
We're all thinking like adults. First of all, I believe 20 years old is an adult because I know I certainly was paying bills and working and raising children at 20 years old. And if I think there's a threat to my life, even at 10 years old, I would have done something more than what was done there. That's why we're trying to figure out. We're not blaming this girl.
No.
We're trying to figure out what the hell would have kept her from calling 911.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sorry, I'm just catching up a little bit. If Dylan was on the second floor, does that mean that there was a murder on each floor, or there was only one person on the first floor?
Second and third floor. Second floor, Ethan and Xana. Third floor was Madison and Kaylee.
And Dylan was also on the second floor.
And Dylan, yeah.
So it wasn't even like he missed the whole of the bottom apartment and went straight to the second and third floor. There was someone else on the second floor, the same floor as two of the other victims.
Yes. Bethany was in the basement on the first floor.
So that's another thing that makes me suspect that he knew Dylan, because why would he bother going all the way through the second floor and killing two people in the same room, then going up to the third floor and killing the two people up there, but leave Dylan on the second floor? I can understand if she was in a separate apartment or separate room downstairs, because the downstairs wasn't touched. But she was on the same floor
as the two victims. Yep. Yeah. And I knew all along that there's no way.
Survive.
Sorry, Brooks.
I just think about what people do to survive. You want to save your own life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I knew that there's no way possible that someone in that house did not hear anything.
Right.
There's no way. And now it's confirmed that Dylan heard something.
Not only did she hear it, but she's on the same floor as these people.
Yeah.
And she opened her door 3 times, and on the third occasion looked straight into the eyes and the face of the man who a few minutes earlier she suspected was in the house because of what she heard them say, and still didn't react to that by calling the authorities.
And Xana was crying, and I'm sure it was not just a little whimper of a cry. She must have been crying, screaming. Right. You know, screaming, crying.
Well, and presumably that crying would have stopped quite suddenly when she was hurt. And then you don't get concerned about that. Like, if crying suddenly stops, that kind of level of crying suddenly stops, I mean, that's a red flag all by itself.
Well, especially, I'm here to help you.
Right.
Haley says someone's here. Like I said, to forget about everybody else, to save your own life.
Right.
And also she's gonna have, I feel bad for her because she has to think about this for the rest of her life. I can just imagine what the last 2 months have been, because you're sitting here and you're thinking and you're thinking and you're thinking, and it's going to come out in trial because they're going to explain the injuries, loss of blood, how fast you lose blood, and something's going to compute in someone's mind. They're going to say, had she called, my son could have been saved.
Right.
Had she called, the paramedics could have been there in, let's say, 6 minutes.
Yeah.
They could have saved somebody. They could have stopped the bleeding. We don't know. It's what people have been saying for 2 months. Oh, it's really easy, Brooks. They just go straight for the neck. All that. No. Gino said, why would you take the risk of continuing to kill after being seen? I thought about that, but then I thought, why would you take the risk of leaving your one eyewitness behind?
Right.
Exactly.
You've already
Exactly.
killed 4 people. Like I said, you can only kill somebody one time. You can only serve 1 life sentence. That's all you've got is 1. You've
Yeah.
already killed 4. Why would you leave the one eyewitness behind?
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Murderers don't do that. They don't leave an eyewitness behind. They just don't do that.
I just wonder because their social media went just totally off the grid, both her and Bethany on
Mm-hmm.
November 13th, where it had been very public before.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Visco or
I'm told.
Vasco. It was not shut down.
I just wonder if there was, because he's been on the loose since last Friday. Have they been in any kind of protective custody? Obviously, they're okay. We haven't heard they've been murdered or anything.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really hoping.
Yes. Yes. I mean, like I said, she's going to have survivor's guilt for a very long time. She's going to need a lot of therapy. A lot.
And so are all the families, because hearing that somebody saw him was a witness. You thought Steve was mad before? You thought Steve was mad before? You think that somebody was in the house and could have called for help? Woo!
That would have been infuriating. Very infuriating. I mean, no. I mean, she was safe. Once she seen him leave the house, she was safe. She went in her room. She shut the door. She could have called 911. He left. What if he came back?
That's what I would have called. I would have called with the quickness in case he came back.
Exactly. Exactly. At least if she called 911, the cops would have got there before he came back. Like, I don't know.
Did she try to call Bethany or any of the other housemates even?
No, I don't believe so.
He shut the door, and the phone call was made at 11:58 to 911. When she came to, from what I'm understanding, actually, I don't know who alerted the whole gang to come over, because they said the 911 call, they don't know exactly how many people were at the house because there was so much commotion and chaos on that call. But it was an unconscious person. Maybe Bethany. Well, no, because she would have definitely come upstairs and seen something had happened to Xana and Ethan.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, there would have been blood everywhere. There's no question about it. You couldn't hide that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you couldn't walk down or like even leave a crime scene that had that much blood in it and not be spreading that blood everywhere you walked and everywhere you went.
Plus the blood, the footprints besides Dylan's door. Yeah. I mean, you got to see that. You had to have seen that.
I'd be scared to death he was going to come back. I would be scared to death he was going to come back.
Yeah.
You hear screaming, crying, dog barking. Kaylee, someone's here. Him saying, I'm here to help you. Yeah. Well, why would someone need help? And then suddenly the whole house, no pun intended, is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so nobody's going to walk around. Now here, it's a party house, et cetera, et cetera. If he's just walking around in normal clothes and you hear maybe something, then you don't think anything of it. But he's in a ski mask, it sounds like.
Yeah. He was in disguise. Like, I mean, and it even says that his mouth and his nose was covered, so that sounds like a ski mask, and that's what Dylan's seen.
Jasmine said, I would have ran out of that house. Me too.
Yeah.
He would have had to have stabbed my ass. I would have been running so fast. No way when all that was going down. No way. Marilyn said, so what the hell? Did he leave through the front door? Does this mean he entered the front door or slider? We've been hearing that they believe he came through the sliding door, but it's been said since, well, November 14th, when this all hell broke loose on this case. They said the front door was left ajar. I kept saying, what does ajar mean? Then the neighbor spoke out that was walking their dog, and they said the front door was wide open at like 6:30, 7 o'clock that morning.
Yeah. But he went through the sliding glass. He left through there.
Did he come in through the sliding glass door and leave through the front door, or vice versa? Why?
He must have left through the door that was on the second floor. Was that a sliding door or a front door?
Sliding glass door.
And why was his footprint right in front of her door? Was he thinking about it, or was that his way of telling her, I spared you? I don't know. DT said, could it be possible Dylan was part of Brian's little social experiment?
Possibly. I wondered that when I saw that experiment, whether any of those kids in that house actually responded to that survey.
Did Dylan reach out to him and answer his ad? I don't know, because but then he's been stalking the house or looking around the house since June.
Yeah.
Was she living in the house in June? We don't know.
No.
Who was living in the house in June? Was it just Madison?
The only one that I know of is
Xana.
The rest of them, I don't know when they moved in.
Because if his phone records are anything to go by, he's definitely been stalking that house.
Oh yes, for sure. There's
even
no
just
question.
based on his cell phone pings. I mean,
Yep.
I was wondering earlier if it was someone said that his sister lived nearby. I don't actually think she does. I don't think that's been proven. But if it was that his sister lived nearby, then I guess that would be his, reasoning. Oh, I was visiting my sister, but I don't think she does actually live there.
No, she doesn't live nearby.
He's got no reason to be in that neighborhood at all, considering he doesn't have any friends there. He doesn't have any family there. He lives a little way away from there, and not far away, but he lives a little way away, and he goes to a completely different school to these victims.
It would be completely out of his way to go there.
Exactly.
It completely out of his way to even go there. He wouldn't have a reason to go there.
Hayden said, Brooks, the moral police, please listen to the whole story before judging her. I read all 19 pages, the page that was talking about her. I have a question, why she didn't call for help. If it's not to help her roommates, why wasn't she trying to save herself? That's not the morality police. That's the, why would you not call the police?
Yeah. Yeah, there's
no the only person thinking it or asking it.
Yeah, there's no judging. There's no judging her.
But if you were a parent whose child died that night, you might have some serious judgments.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
You might be like, you know what? Had you called, one of them could have been saved. They laid there and they bled out until noon.
Yeah.
Had you called at 4:30 in the morning, 4:45, there might have been a chance.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
But we don't know. And that's not something that she obviously needs to be thinking about for the rest of her life. I'm just kind of wondering, common sense 101, do you want to live or die? There's a man, someone said a COVID mask that you don't know, and you're hearing crying. Dog
barking. Yeah.
Yelling, all this.
I'm so concerned to you about that you don't lock yourself in your room straight away and call the police the first time you hear something. You open your door 3 separate times to find out what's going on, and then you come face to face with somebody wearing a mask and bushy eyebrows. You've been wondering what's been going on for the last 20 minutes because of all the times that you've opened your door already. And on that third occasion, when you see someone, the first thing you do is shut your door. The second thing you do is think, oh, well, that's all right, then I'll go sleep. I'll just take a little nap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something didn't click in her mind, either that or she knew who that person was, in my opinion. And she was like, oh, right, okay, yeah, it's him.
Well, now it makes sense because, hindsight is it's a mofo sometimes. Because I remember when Aaron, I think his name's Aaron Sneed. Like I said, my brain is oatmeal right now. This is a lot to be hit with. When they were asking about the two roommates that they said slept through everything. Well, we know she didn't sleep through it. We know that she didn't sleep through it. But we know now. Anyhow, and he looked so perplexed. He just said, I don't have that answer. He was asking basically what we're asking right now, just not with such a passion.
Yeah.
And when he said they could be victims, they could be, and he said witnesses with a little inflection. He goes, they could be the key to all of this.
Yeah.
Well, that's a loaded statement right there with hindsight, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Definitely.
Wow.
Yeah, and party house be damned. You hear crying. You hear something that you have not heard before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's been the excuse for 7 weeks. Well, they're used to lots of noise because it's a party house. Hell, the police had been there investigating noise, telling them to turn it down for months. We know it's a party house. This wasn't a party house. This was something totally different.
Yeah, with no party going on there. People were crying. Somebody was crying.
Which I wouldn't call the police about my roommate crying, but we know there was more going on.
Well, it wasn't just crying, and you hear someone saying, I'm here to help you, and then the crying must have abruptly stopped. I mean, stopped to a point where the thing was silent. The house was silent for all of a sudden that would hit you.
Yeah.
If that kind of noise had been going on. So that was the second time you opened your door to check.
Plus, if they were fighting back with this intruder, with Brian, if they say it was Brian, if they were fighting back, there would have been a lot of banging. I don't know. I don't understand it. I'm sure we're all going to hear about it in court, though. I mean, for sure,
Oh, yeah, that goes without saying.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. I'm going to have to read through this a million more times. This is just nuts. Like the times. I got to sit down and write down all the times because it says Kernodle, as her cellular phone indicated, she was likely awake and using the TikTok app at approximately 4:12 p.m.
Well, that was even if she'd been, off by then. The fact that she was on the phone at 4:12, that was right in the middle, directly in the middle of 4 a.m. and 4:25 a.m.
Yeah.
4:12 is directly in the middle of those times.
And the DoorDash left at 4 a.m. This happened fast.
Yeah, she would have been up.
So this was a sudden commotion. This would have been, oh man. So it says Dylan stated she originally went to sleep in her bedroom on the southeast side of the second floor. Dylan stated she was awoken at approximately 4 a.m. by what she stated sounded like Kaylee playing with her dog. So forget about the whole party house and everything. Kaylee playing with the dog woke her up. So obviously she doesn't sleep through everything. Playing with her dog in one of the upstairs bedrooms, which were located on the third floor. A short time later, Dylan said she heard who she thought was Kaylee say something to the effect of, "There's someone here." A review of records obtained from a forensic download of Xana's phone showed this could have been Xana, as her cellular phone indicated she was likely awake and using the TikTok app at 4:12 a.m. Dylan stated she looked out of her bedroom but did not see anything when she heard the comment about someone being in the house. Dylan stated she opened her door a second time when she heard what she thought was crying coming from Xana's room. Now, some people are going to ask, and I already know this is going to happen, if you hear Xana crying, some people would go and check to see if someone's okay. But since Ethan was there, she might have thought they were having an argument or something.
Yeah.
From Xana's room. Dylan then said she heard a male voice say something to the effect of, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." At approximately 4:17 a.m., a security camera located at 1112 King Road, a residence immediately to the northwest of 1122 King Road, picked up distorted audio of what sounded like voices or a whimper, followed by a loud thud. Now, if this camera northwest of the property picked this up, somebody in that house heard it.
Right.
Yes.
When
Right.
a loud thud, a
Yeah.
dog can also be heard barking numerous times starting at 4:17 a.m. So there was a disturbance at 4:17 a.m.
Right.
I have seen TikTok videos of the puppy playing with other people. The puppy isn't just, howling and going crazy.
Well,
Is,
if you can hear what you think is someone playing with their dog at 4 a.m. coming from a room upstairs, then you can surely hear that dog barking.
Yeah.
17 minutes later for numerous times.
Mhm.
You can hear that. You can't tell me that you can hear someone playing with their dog, but you can't hear a dog barking 17 minutes later several times.
Yep.
She heard that. She must have heard that. There's no way that she didn't hear that dog barking. If she could hear them playing with the dog, she could hear the dog barking.
Yeah, and the loud thud. She
Yeah.
had to have heard that.
Yep.
You know.
Now they may not have written that in this document, I guess, that
Yeah,
she heard
no.
that. But I don't believe that if you hear a dog being played with, that you don't hear a dog barking and that you don't hear a loud thud in the same house.
Exactly.
It woke her from her sleep. I was
Right.
mistaken. I thought she was awake in her room.
No,
Kaylee
she was
playing with the dog woke her up at 4 a.m. Then it says at approximately 4:17 a.m. Okay, that's when the security camera picked it up. A
Mhm.
dog can also be heard. Okay, Dylan stated she opened the door for the third time after she heard the crying and saw a figure clad in black clothing. Now, this is a figure.
Mhm.
This is how this is described. A figure clad in black clothing and a mask. Whoever was crying, I'm sorry, this isn't going to win me any points with a few people. Whoever was crying was still alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whoever was crying was still alive. So when you see the figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth, I don't know. It doesn't say anything about a COVID mask, so I don't know what the hell he had on his face. It covered the person's mouth and nose towards her. Dylan described the figure. The male walked past Dylan as she stood in a frozen shock face. He had to have seen her. She saw him.
Oh, definitely. Definitely he had to have seen her.
He knows what direction he walked because she said the male walked towards the back sliding glass door. Dylan then locked herself in her room after seeing the male. Dylan did not state that she recognized the male. This leads investigators to believe that the murderer left the scene.
Do you think there's any possibility that he was so psychotic or whatever he was in that he didn't actually see her? Maybe he wasn't actually even looking for anyone else. He was completely like
done.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that. I believe that he was just completely done and leaving.
I'm just going to assume that he did not see her. The way it's described in this, hang on, Nicole.
But she's seen him.
Nicole says, people put yourself in her place. How could she have known for people were being killed to death? Because she's describing it in this document.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
She has enough information to know that something bad was happening in that house on at least 3 different times. She opened the door to check and see what was going on. So she obviously had that much information.
She knew, I believe that she knew that something wasn't right. And why is there somebody in the house with a mask on? I mean, that would be the first red flag when you not think. Why is there somebody in my house with a mask on? Why is there an intruder inside my house with a mask on? And why is he leaving? You know, I mean, that would be a red flag right there.
Peppermint Tea said, and out, so someone couldn't have been crying and someone saying, I will help you if he was leaving. Hang on. What am I missing? Yeah, I am putting myself in her place because, like I said, I would want to save my own ass. And if I heard someone in my house crying, I would go check on them. What are you crying about? Is everything okay?
Yeah.
I think there's a little bit more that went on. Remember, this is just the probable
Yeah.
cause because this doesn't make sense.
Oh, there's definitely more to this. There's no question. There's more to this.
And
I'm
also,
He could have been
the
in
only thing I can think is that perhaps she knew that he didn't see her. Perhaps she knew that those eyes weren't looking at her or actually seeing her. She sort of saw him, but maybe she could recognize that he didn't see her, because I can't think of any reason why he would have spared her if he saw her.
I just can't imagine either. Like I said, you've already killed 4. You're trying to commit the perfect crime. Why would you leave one eyewitness behind?
Yeah.
His adrenaline rush would have been still high too.
Linda for the win. Are we missing the obvious dead body by the bathroom?
Yeah.
But was it on the same floor though?
Yeah, that would have been.
Yeah. It would have been Ethan. I'm pretty sure it would have been Ethan or maybe Xana.
Let's look. Hang on. I got to
It
go
says
back.
in the, yeah, it does say in the thing.
He said, as I entered the bedroom, I could see 2 females in the single bed in the room.
Okay,
Both
Madison and Kaylee.
Yeah, Kaylee and Madison were deceased with visible stab wounds. I also later noticed what appeared to be a tan leather knife sheath laying on the bed next to Mogan's right side. So he obviously, if the sheath is laying by Madison, either he killed Madison first or he killed Madison last.
Yeah.
You know, that's all I can say. All right, so then we go through the suspect profile. As part of the well, I missed the first one. Hang on.
Go up a little bit.
That's what I'm doing. Blank sheet. Okay. And I then walked upstairs to the second floor. Smith directed me down the hallway to the west bedroom on the second floor, which I later learned was Xana's room. Just before this room, there was a bathroom door on the south wall of the hallway. As I approached the room, I could see a body later identified as Xana. So it's Xana.
Xana.
Okay.
But wasn't Xana and...
Where was Ethan?
Also in the room was a male later identified as Ethan.
But they were in the same bed a minute ago, so how did...
That was Kaylee and Madison.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in the third floor, yeah. Okay, so Xana was found near the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
So Ethan too? Was Ethan found there too, or... It doesn't really say, eh?
No. They're not going to... We'll find that out later. It's just,
But if that was on the second floor, then presumably the minute that Dylan came out of her room, she would have seen outside the bathroom door. I don't understand. I have to look at the layout of this house.
3 times. That's why I said there's way more.
Oh, wait, the bathroom is on the third floor.
No, the second floor too. There's a bathroom on the second and the third floor.
And Ethan was on the second floor.
Ethan and Xana, yeah.
Xana. So then she would have presumably seen that the second that she left her room.
Like Linda said, Xana was outside the bathroom and could not be missed by Dylan. Surely that's why I'm wondering if the unconscious person, I'm not even going to wrap my mind around it right now. Each floor did have a bathroom, yes. I can't remember how many bathrooms are in this house. I can go through the Orbix real quick and we can walk through the house, but it's probably going to confuse me more right now.
Yeah. So did he kill Ethan and Xana first and then went upstairs and killed Kaylee and Madison? Or killed Madison and Kaylee first and then Ethan and Xana?
Well, the sheath was found by Madison. So either he took the sheath off, killed Madison, left it there, went to Kaylee and went downstairs, or he carried the sheath with him through the house as he did the murders and just left it by Madison because Madison was the last. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Hey, UFC.
What's going on? Long time no talk, guys. How's everybody doing?
Pretty good. Happy New Year. What are you thinking about this?
I think that this dude's he used everything from American system. He hasn't paid his money for it, which Joe Biden just paid for it. I don't want to get into that. Sorry, which someone just paid for his damn education that he's still going through. Right? We just put $10,000 for all these people, and look, you don't even know who you're supporting. You put $10,000 to a murderer. This guy learned everything he learned from his teacher, and he hoped he got away with it, and he didn't. They were on him since day one. Now that the truth came out today, they said they were on him from the beginning.
Dude, they've been on him. I know. That's what I said. Isn't that the shits?
2 days in, they had him. They already had him, guys. They had him 2 days in. Look it up. They had his DNA. His family member already went in and gave the DNA and said, "I think it's him." His own family member. This was already over. The mom and dad of Goncalves owes the police the apology. Everybody does. This shit was done. They were just wrapping this case up. They had him pulled over twice. They had him. Think about it, guys. This shit was done. This goes back to a lot of things, and this is the difference between Truckee and this. I give Idaho this. They weren't playing games from the bat. Everything was submitted. We all thought it was not. Everything was submitted. Everything was done, and that was the difference between this and Truckee. You can see the difference, dude. 2 days, they had the DNA down to one person because every room matched. You can't hide that.
They had the car.
Yeah, the vehicle.
The car, he switched his license plate, but you can't. Every DNA. The thing is, he can say, "Oh, I was dating Goncalves." Let's say, okay, let's just say one name. But why is your DNA the same DNA in every room, and it's just as fresh as every other DNA speckle of your DNA? Do you understand? That's where they got him at. It's just as fresh. They're saying everything is just, you know what I'm saying? All his DNA is just laid down on all these people. And there's no saying that you were dating one of these girls and her jacket got in the room. You know what I'm saying? And my thing is that we all have to lay down and say we apologize to law enforcement because they were on it, man. They were on it, and it proves.
Well, not this channel. Not this channel.
Oh, not your channel. I'm saying what we've seen on the news and other channels. Everybody's saying, "Oh, they're not doing it." Goncalves' dad. Everybody needs to sit back and say, "Oh, they were doing it. They had him. They had his ass. They had his ass when he was halfway through the United States." Yeah, guys, and that's you know what, that's a good thing. You know, that's we all have to lay a breath there on that note after what happened out in the Truckee and stuff and not knowing.
Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing: Truckee's probably that and Hawkins County are the only two that we can really look at the law enforcement and say they're not doing what they're supposed to do. Every other case we follow is spot on. They knock it out of the park.
Yeah, and they proved it. They proved it because they had him. I mean, they had this guy.
It seems to me like quite early on they got the vehicle from WSU, the security footage from there. Like they knew what they were looking at and they knew who they were looking at. It's just that they didn't put that information out in public straight away.
Yeah, boy, he's on the move. They don't want to let him go a different way.
Yeah, exactly. But they knew. We didn't.
Oh, they knew. Yeah, they knew. It's crazy though how this kid can think he's that smart and really be that smart of a kid. You got to be honest there. He's smarter than all of us. I don't think
he is that smart because, like I said earlier, he was already stopped at least twice in that vehicle before these murders even happened. His phone was on every single time it was pinged outside.
Look at his face.
Plus,
Look at his face that first pullover.
Plus, he left that shield there.
And he was seen by a witness. I mean, of all the mistakes you can make as a qualified murderer, if you like.
Yeah,
he made every single one of them.
Oh, his face was guilty. He looked over like he was going to get arrested right then. You know what I'm saying? Like when you're, like he looked like the average man when you pulled him over. He looked right over there. He goes, "Fuck, I'm fucked." And his dad looked like, I'm not going to get into what his dad looked like, but his dad. I think they all knew. And I'm going to put this on my life. I think the dad knew. at that point.
All your life. Woo,
all my life. I think the dad knew. The dad's face, and the dad wouldn't look the cop in the eye. Watch that video 4 times. He never once looked the cop in the eye in 4 minutes. If you're just getting pulled over for a seatbelt violation, how aren't you looking the cop in the eye? You're a grown man. Your son and you are going across country. Your son leans over on you, and you're not looking the cop in the eye. I'm going to put it on my life that this guy has something wrong.
The way his eyes were squinted, it honestly looked to me like the sun was in his eyes.
I was, but he wouldn't look in the cop, though. He was looking straight forward. Like, and his son leaned over, and his son's eyes were, like, bigger than basketballs. You got to put that into perspective. If the son knows that much, the dad doesn't look. The son looks like a PhD student. The dad doesn't look like a PhD student. The dad looks like he's been around the block a couple times. My father has been. My father probably be the same way. And I'm
Did
just,
the father know that the bins had been, like the trash cans?
yes,
had
and
been
I think the
checked
father knew
and
the
they
license
had
plate got
DNA?
changed. The father knew the license plate got changed. So why would you wouldn't question your son at all?
Well, I'll say this about the license plate. The taxes were due to the state by the end of November anyway. So he got them on the 18th. All right. So I probably overthought that one. I mean, either way, it still is just another odd thing in here. As far as going through the trash cans, that didn't happen until they got done with their road trip. They were back in Pennsylvania when that happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
When the road trip went down, the FBI hadn't started going through Dad's trash yet.
Yeah.
Now, Linda, I'm with you. You have to ask this question. Why did Brian leave such an obvious trail to him? It's not as simple as him being stupid, because FBI behavioral science would not be involved.
Right.
Why did he do that? Why did
Well,
he
I mean, it goes back to the saying is, why would he leave Dylan alive?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it'll go back to the saying. Why would you leave a witness alive?
I still wonder if in his own head, I mean, I can't even imagine, but if in his own head this was all a ploy to see if he could get away with murder.
I think that's what it was. I think he learned a lot off that professor, and he put it all together. We'll find a notebook with all this shit written down, the game plan, and then the game plan didn't work. Guess what? The first quarter, you're losing 7-0 already, homie. You know what I'm saying? I really think that's what happened. He thought he was smarter than the law.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that.
We live in an era where you're not going to get away. You're not. You can get away today, but you're not going to get away tomorrow.
I don't think he used anything from his class in this. It was almost opposite of the class. The only thing that he did they might have taught in class was don't take your phone to a crime. He knows not to leave the sheath behind.
I'm wondering, Brooks, if he tried to fight the laws of physics and say, look, you're wrong, teacher. And there was an argument in class, and he went out and tried to prove them wrong.
Well, remember, he had his own experiment going on. He was looking for criminals. He wanted to ask all of these criminals. He wanted to talk to them, interview them. Well, he's got his pick of the litter now because he's going to be in jail for the rest of his life. He wanted to know how they felt, how they pick their victims, et cetera, how they got to the crime scene. He also wanted to know how they felt before, during, and after.
Exactly.
I'm wondering if he was going to paint that car in Pennsylvania. That's my biggest wonder. I was saying that from the bat when they caught him. I was like, is he going out to paint his car, or they said he was going to sell it? But if he couldn't sell it, he would have painted it. I guarantee you guys. If they had time to wait without the family tripping, I think that the FBI and everybody would have waited. But with everybody putting pressure on the FBI and everybody, they had to make the arrest. You know what I'm saying? Because they knew that they were coming in on him. They pulled him over twice. They probably thought, oh, the kid's smart. He knows that we're getting in on him. We have to take him to jail. But I wonder if they were going to watch him paint his car and use that as evidence too. You guys got to put that into perspective. They would have waited another week or two and watched him sell the car and use that as more evidence against them. And
well, they were following him. So if he was attempting something like that, it's going to.
They already knew it. They had his phone. They locked his phone in since day one. So they knew if he was trying to sell his car. That's why they already came out. That's what I'm saying. The family kind of screwed that up because that's more evidence. I'm trying to sell my car to get rid of the evidence. Do you get what I'm saying? It's just think about it.
I was wondering if he still has this game plan, except it's not quite working out in his favor. That he's gonna, if he'd have got I'm not saying a better lawyer because I don't really know the lawyer that he's got, but if he'd have got someone in his mind lined up, like a real shit hot defense attorney, I was wondering whether he was going to play this through to the end. Like, not only can I do these murders, but I can also play the system to completely get away with it with a good lawyer, sort of thing.
I don't think he don't got money for a good lawyer. They already.
No, I know. That's kind of where my thoughts fell down.
I think he thought he was going to outsmart the jury. I think he's going to look. I'm going to call it out right now. He's going to choose not to have a lawyer when it comes on to the case.
He already chose to have one.
Yeah, but next 4 weeks he can fire. He can choose one, and they can say he's incompetent. And then you know the argument, Brooks. They say the
Yeah,
judge
but you
always
can't
says you can't
represent
judge.
yourself if you're incompetent, surely.
Yeah, but they always try to prove that you're not. So you have, you know what I'm saying? Because they don't want to.
Well, they
don't
have
want
to
to
in
retry
Idaho
you
because they
later.
don't have a competency law
But they
in
don't want to have to
Idaho.
retry you later. So if it comes up you're incompetent after you take your own case, and they have to retry the whole case, it costs $1 million again. So what
There's
my
no
thing is
UFC.
that
You slow down, dude. Oh my God.
Brooke,
Come on.
I'm gonna get off now. I
Okay,
have to
hon.
go make supper. But thank you.
Bye,
Peppers.
Jeannie.
Bye.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you,
Thank
Tim, for super sticker. Bye, Jeannie.
No,
Bye.
what I was saying, Brooks, what I was saying, sorry, I don't got good connection. I'm in the mountains. What I was saying is that if they let him do it, let him be his own lawyer off the bat, and then in 2 weeks they say he's incompetent, 3 weeks or after the case, they have to run that whole case again. So they're not going to let him do it off the bat. If he fires her mid case, which usually happens, look it up. 90% of the time they fire their lawyers mid case.
Oh, and that is true. That's true. But you need to look at the laws in Idaho. For one, you can definitely be incompetent, but that doesn't mean you're going to walk or you're going to have some.
Oh, I'm not saying he's going to walk. I would say a retrial. That's money though. It costs money. And I don't think Idaho wants to do that. So they're going to make him get a lawyer regardless if he likes it or not. The bat. That's what I'm saying.
Well, you know what? Good luck to him. I hope he does defend himself.
Me too. He's a piece of shit, dude. He is.
I mean, go ahead and defend yourself. All it does is it makes everything harder on him because he knows nothing about the law. They would have to walk him through and explain, this is called emotion. Do you understand what emotion is? And everything like that. He's already had 2 lawyers. He has one assigned to him in Idaho. He had one assigned to him in Pennsylvania. He said today he wants a lawyer. But you're right. I mean, halfway through, they get mad at their lawyers and then they fire them.
Yeah, and that's all I'm saying. He thinks he's smarter than everybody else, and he's one of those guys that might do it. I'm not saying he's going to do it. He's an idiot if he does it. But I'm just,
He might be
I'm
like
giving
another
my
Darryl Brooks
thought.
might play, mightn't he? He might just think he's that special that he can represent himself.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I'm at. I'm not trying to say he's going to do that. I'm saying that that's the possibility with these kind of people.
The truth is, we don't know what he's going to do tomorrow, next week, in 3 months. But we had a ton of information poured on us today. We don't know if he was going to repaint his car, sell his car, or drive it off a cliff. We don't know. If anything was going down, to me, it doesn't seem like he was trying to hide the car at all because he had Daddy fly out to Spokane and drive the bastard all the way across the country.
Mm-hmm.
He could have been done with that car on the 14th. He showed up in class.
Mm-hmm.
He was there ready to learn. He was grading papers and stuff. It's the craziest thing.
Oh, there's going to be tons more that comes out, I think.
Oh yeah. Oh God, yeah. I think.
Do you guys think there's a second? Do you think there's a second person involved?
I don't. I think he. I mean, I think he did all this sloppy ass work himself.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of find it hard to think that 2 people could have screwed it up this royally.
Mm-hmm. I do know it's raining members in here. Cat gifted memberships, Sea Stars gifted memberships.
It's always good to have new members.
Nicole said they are public defenders. Did somebody up here say that he had a private attorney, Nicole? We know he has public defenders.
No, 100% they're public. Yeah, they're public defenders. That's why I said I think he'll fire him.
He already said he's innocent. And the ones that get the free stuff are the ones that waste everyone's time. If he was paying out of pocket.
It's funny. Brooks, he had money to go to college, or I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if it's a loan or if it's his mom or dad, but he had money to go to college, but he ain't got money for a lawyer. I mean, think about it. That's more money out of pocket. Just a loan for this kid alone, we're probably in taxes $200,000, $300,000 in this kid alone, because he'll never pay his student loans if he goes to jail. He's in a PhD, $300,000. Think about that.
Well, because people have student loans. I mean,
yeah. So but I'm saying we're all paying. We're gonna all pay for that out of our taxes. There's $300,000. Why he's in jail? This is ridiculous, dude. This kid just learned. You know what I'm saying? I'm just putting it all out there. I mean, if he's on his PhD, he's $300,000 in student loans. Period. 200 to 300,000, and we're looking at this kid's. He's a murderer, and you're gonna. At the end of the day, he's not gonna pay his student loans, and this is the shit we go through in this country. I mean, it's just nasty, and this has to be planned out for weeks and months. They're gonna find out, and it's gonna come out. I don't think it happens for the moment. I really don't, Brooks, and I don't want to put speculation, but what the police said and everything, and with everybody, with them saying that they think he was following them, I think it was happening for weeks. You know what I'm saying?
It was. We just read the probable cause. They've been on
There
his
it
ass.
is.
They've been on his ass since a couple of days after Thanksgiving.
That's crazy.
I
Well,
mean, he left. I mean, some people leave breadcrumbs. He left loaves of bread
Right.
that followed him all the way to a trash can in Pennsylvania. I mean, as the chief was defending that they can do their job, and people that have no job sitting at home were picking the police apart, they had it all sized up. They were just waiting for that final nail in the coffin to go and get him.
that's my point. Yeah, that's what I said. They already had him. They had him in the beginning, and everybody was sitting there blaming them, saying they're not doing their job. And I think they rushed that arrest. I think they were waiting for him to do one more little move. You know, like you were saying, we don't know if he's going to sell the car. We don't know if he's going to paint it. Came out of speculation, but if they could have waited till he did that next move, you know how much that would have been. Oh, he painted the car. Why'd you paint your car?
Well, what if they grabbed him because they figured out his next move was going to be another victim, and they grabbed him, and they knew they may not be 100% ready. They would like to have the deck stacked higher, but they cannot, in good conscience, leave him out to kill somebody else.
And he could go back home, and there's another girl at home that made him feel the same way that one of those girls did in that apartment. Yeah, I agree. 100%. That's a very high possibility.
Just like some people have an issue with the way they arrested Vegan Boy. They were very upset about that. The way they broke in the windows and they broke the front door.
Hell no, Brooke. I told you about my situation when I was innocent. They did way worse at my house, at my friends' houses.
Yeah.
I told you about my situation.
But here's the thing.
This was 2009. They did way worse than me, and we were innocent. They broke through every window.
You've got a quadruple murderer in there.
Yeah.
Knock on the door, who used his dad's knife, and they found the dad's DNA in the trash can. You're not going to be like, hey, is he going to come out willingly? And then what's he do? Run out the back door? He runs out the back door and he goes and jumps in the pond. I mean, you know, and then we have to hear that they let him get away. No, I would love to see the video of that no-knock warrant.
No, yeah, there's no way, dude. There's no way. And or he kills somebody when they come in, they let him in. There's no way. And they already knew it was him. And like I said, they were on him since day 2. It's out there now. Since day 2, they had him. And he didn't know. He thought he was smarter than the law, dude. And I think it's going to come out that father knew what happened, dude. I'm telling you, they have his phone. They were linked on his phone. And this is my estimate on this, is that the dad knew. Dad looks like a little sketchy guy. Dad looks like he's a good dude, though. But he'll back 90% of the fathers in this world are going to back their kid. Like, oh, Dad, they're after me. Can you come back, fly over here and help me out? Or can you be here and with me? You know, I think they're trying to blame me. And it's not that he's a bad guy, but I just, I put my dad in that situation, and I feel like he's doing the same thing as that guy's doing. He looks exactly the same. And
I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't confide in his dad. I don't think he told him the gory details. And as much.
No, that's what I'm saying. Confide. As in the car, they're blaming me. Everything looks like it's me. So I think they're going to blame me. Let's go back home. You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of like that talk. Not saying it was him.
I'm on the same page as you. I'm on the same page as you.
Yep.
And what I'm saying is, as much as the probable cause blew our minds, there's more to come, because they haven't even gotten to the heinousness that is the murder, and that's going to be described in court. They're going to have to describe all of that to the jury. It's going to be horrific.
Dude, the way he shook his head all day in court today when you were playing it just made me think he was guilty right there, dude. I'm like, this guy, no emotion. Like, I would have stood up and like, that ain't me. That's not me. Like, I don't care if you're taking me for contempt. You're in jail for murder, dude. If you didn't do it, you better make it clear. You're on camera. You know what I'm saying, Brooks? Like, I would have stood up and said, look, you guys are wrong. The wrong guy. You know what I'm saying? You're on court TV. You're on everything. Instead, you shook your head. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No bell. Yes, ma'am. That man, like, that's serial killer instincts, dude. And like you said, he might have been on the way back to Pennsylvania, and there'd have been someone in his mind in Pennsylvania, another girl. He already knows he's going down. Might as well get them all. I'm gonna get this girl from high school too, that I went to high school with. You know what I'm saying? You got to put it that way. And it's a real high possibility. It really is at this point.
It's all going to come out, but I say good job to law enforcement. Good job. You know, they've got him. They don't have a conviction, but they definitely have an arrest. And it seems like they have a lot of evidence against him. But I'm going to start winding this down, my friend.
I'm going to take all, man. But remember, guys, hey, I'm all theories. Brooke has nothing to do with my theories or my opinions. This is me personally. Like I said, I think everybody's innocent until proven guilty. And we'll see what happens with this guy and his father and everything else in this case. And thank you, Brooks, for having me again. It's been a while.
Always exciting when you come up.
I just try to bring the energy, man. You guys have a good one, and God bless everybody.
You're awesome, my friend. Let's all give a big round of applause to UFC. He always comes barreling in like a barrel of monkeys. Our friend Kat, it was raining memberships in here today between Kat and C-Star. Let's thank Jeannie. We have someone backstage, but I don't know who it is. Your camera's on. Can you wave or something? Gino said, thanks, Brooks, panel mods in chat. It's been something else. So I just want to thank you guys for having an adult discussion. This is not a cooking channel. This is not about landscaping. This is not about how to buy a bunch of crap at the Dollar Tree and, put it together and make it look like a 6-foot nutcracker. This isn't about do it yourself at home or anything like that. We're talking about crimes. And that goes with everything around it. Some people are cool with that. Some people can't stand it. They cannot stand it. I wish I could make it, nice and warm and fuzzy, and it can't because a lot of uncomfortable things are talked about. But you guys are the best crew to do it with because you're open-minded and you're not gonna, lose your mind because we're talking about the worst, the freaking worst that society has to offer. The worst. I mean, these people are horrible. These are horrible ass people. And at the end of the day, if Brian did all this, if it's truly Brian, remember he's innocent till proven guilty. There's a few people that aren't going to let me forget that. Imagine he killed 4 people. Dylan's life will never be the same. She's in an upheaval. Bethany was downstairs. All the people that surround them. I haven't even started on their families and his. Not to mention many, many FBI agents, Idaho State Police, the local authorities, hell, even the campus police over at Washington State University are affected by this. One person has caused all of this. That's pretty damn sick. That is pretty damn sick. But I'm not sick and you're not sick, so we're going to enjoy the rest of our afternoon. Come chat with me in Discord. We're going to continue. I might even do a general voice live in a little bit. Jack Lord, there you go. Jack D. If your name started with a J in Idaho, you went through hell the last 2 months. Okay? But let's not forget that I said nobody could possibly sleep through that. I had it wrong the whole time. I kept saying, don't discount a female. This could be a female. I kept saying, don't forget Jodi Arias. So there you go. You got me. All right, guys, if I don't see you over at Discord or if I don't see you in the Facebook group, then I will see you back here at 9 a.m. tomorrow. We're going to hash through this again. It's got to be done. It's got to be done. There's too much to talk about. Fresh eyes, fresh morning eyes on the probable cause. Enjoy the rest of your baby Thursday, and I will see you back here at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Again, thanks for being awesome. Nicole said a great opportunity to share different perspectives. Nicole, I wish you would have grabbed the link. I really wanted to hear what you had to say. We'll do it tomorrow. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. All right, see you guys back here tomorrow. I really, really, really appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great night.